I don't trust my numbers.
One. Okay, yeah. We're on. We got people in the chat
That's
already.
that
What up? What
aluminum.
up? What up, everybody? Happy Friday. New music Friday. We actually got some new music. Coop, how are you doing today?
On the run eating. Just got in about 16 minutes ago.
Nori style. Let me. You know what? I got a lot of notes for today. I think we'll start
I'm
off.
still taking notes.
Yeah, I think we'll start off with the NBA Finals. Game one was
You
last
first.
night.
You first game one to Miami.
Uh, it's one of those things where it's like I was watching it, but it wasn't like I was super hyped for like the NBA Finals or whatever, right? And so it was a cool game. It looks like Denver should walk away with this fairly easy. Miami wasn't making shots. Miami seemed um, Miami seemed to be the inferior team. Obviously, you got the eighth seed and one of the best records in the league. But the thing that kind of stuck out to me was Bam did a good job on Jokic, and
Mm-hmm.
Jokic found other ways to get involved. Like, I don't have to score all the time. Let me go ahead and pass the ball. And then when the team needed him to score, he locked in, was able to score with ease. He's looking like one of the all-time greats, at least of his era. So, and yes, Miami did look fatigued.
Couple things. Jokic is the best player in basketball.
He is.
And what he is passing wise, Mike, he sets his players up for success the way Chris Paul does, but he does it with the brilliant type of passing that LeBron James does.
Mm.
And so if you couple his height with his setup ability, with his passing IQ, he's actually the best passer in basketball. And that's with LeBron and Chris Paul still walking around. Right now, he's the best passer in basketball.
It's a
And the
lot
best
more
passer,
difficult to be a great passer from that position, also, when you're playing from the post.
that's what I mean. When the best passer in basketball can operate from the high post, it's a very, very dangerous notion. But here's the thing about it and why they're winning that I don't think people recognize. Where would you put Jamal Murray? Jokic is the best player in the league. Where's a healthy Jamal Murray, though? Because I look at Jamal Murray's comps as like Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell, don't you?
I guess, man, but I don't think that if he didn't play for Denver, we'd be looking at him like Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. Though both of those guys you mentioned have scored 70 points in a game.
Yes, but aren't those his comps? Keep in mind, he's just fully recovered from an ACL injury.
I can't put him in a conversation with them yet, but I think that again, he's more of a, like when Golden State was really rolling before they got KD. He's more of like a Clay Thompson ish figure. It's like we know he got the talent, we know what he can do, but he also plays with Steph.
I beg to differ because I think on about half the NBA teams, Jamal Murray is your best player. Like if he's on the Knicks, he's the Knicks' best player.
We
If
don't know
he's
what he looks
on,
like as the number one guy without Jokic there. We don't know.
I mean,
He's
no, we
nice
don't we,
though.
don't- we don't know that, but I'm saying like for how he plays basketball and for how he has played when he's been healthy, because the two seasons that he's been healthy, it's not a coincidence. Have been the two seasons that they've gone to the Western Conference Finals and now the NBA
Oh
Finals.
no, he's a very good player, great player.
And
So we need.
and
I
I'm
mean, so they need him there. You know what I mean? But
I was
it's
about to say,
hard to
Mike,
say.
because here's what I realized, and this is what I was trying to say. Well, it wasn't Jokic that was failing in the playoffs, like you say. He just didn't have Murray.
Hmm.
And him having Murray changes everything. So Murray is like that. And Murray is a comp for Booker and for Mitchell because here's what I think. I think that Denver is the one seed because Jamal Murray was healthy, not even because Jokic is MVP. And if you take him off that team and make him the leading figure like Devin Booker was for Phoenix this year before Durant, and like um, Donovan was for Cleveland this year, what you have is about a 4 or 5 seed for a team.
Everybody
You know
seems
what I'm
to agree
saying?
with you in the chat.
Yeah.
Matt
No,
Max
no,
with the
no.
super
He's like
chat
that.
says Metro is the down south RZA. I don't see the correlation, but I like it. I'll take it as a compliment.
It's a compliment. Wrong producer, I think, to correlate to. But we're going to talk about Metro.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about.
But when
Metro.
I'm saying Murray's like that, no. He went toe to toe with Donovan. He just went toe to toe with Book. I didn't see too much of a difference. Those guys leading teams can lead a team to a 3, 4, 5, 6 seed. He can do the same, but he also has the best player in basketball.
Yeah.
But here's also the reality of the matter, Mike, and then we can move on. The way that they're playing basketball is about to make people change the way that they play basketball again. Really, for the last 7, 8 years, it's been the way the Steph and Clay and KD type of shooting from mid-range to long-distance show.
That's where I was going. And, and I know I said this at the beginning of the playoffs when, they won their first series. And I was like, you know what? I have no problem if Denver wins because that's going to change the way people are playing basketball. They're not going to be just jacking up threes from everywhere anymore.
Well, no, it's not even that, Mike. This is what I mean. Getting guys with real size again, because what you have is that, how about this? The average NBA player today that's considered to be a wing player is built like Michael Porter Jr., okay? In Aaron Gordon and Jokic, you have two guys that are bigger than that.
Yep.
And no other team has that right now.
Yeah.
Like, no team has two guys as big as Jokic and Aaron Gordon that can be proficient like they are. It's like, think about this, Mike. If Jokic and Murray are going to get you 30 apiece, and Porter and Gordon are going to get you 15 apiece, Mike, that's 90 points. You're not winning unless you have some comparable talent. Now, here's what I'll tell you, Mike. You want to know why I was so high on Phoenix? How many games has Denver lost in this postseason, Mike?
I don't even remember. What, like 2 or something?
They've lost 3, Mike.
3?
You know who? You know how many they lost to Phoenix, right? They lost 2 of those 3 to Phoenix.
Well, I mean, when Durant went to Phoenix, they were billed as a super team that was going to win it all. Like, Vegas had them as winning it all. So, I mean, that's going to happen. But again,
well, what I'm saying is that you need 2 superstar players and depth to beat them for a whole series, because having 2 superstar players is only going to get you 2, maybe 3 games. I thought Phoenix would have took it to 7. I feel like Booker and KD both came up short in Game 6. You know what I'm saying? But even having 2 superstar players against this team isn't enough. You're going to need some depth and some size. Like, Phoenix and LA look like the big contenders because it looks like Ja's about to be gone for the season. But the reason that LA was able to play them close for 4 games, even though they got swept, and the reason that Phoenix was able to take 2 games off of them, they have top 10 players. Yeah, that matters. They have AD and LeBron. They have Book and KD. You need top 10 players.
I'm glad to see.
Boston don't have no top 10 players.
Yeah. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. I know we got a lot of people in the room. We're going to be talking this new Nas record that's on the Metro album and the whole Metro album that's on the Spider-Man.
The whole Metro, not just the Nas record.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the whole thing. But I know that, Nas actually gets us people in here. So anyway, what I was going to say, though, I'm really good with the fact that, this type of basketball is coming back. You got high percentage shots up against, instead of what we've had over the past few years where it's like everybody jacking up threes, whoever makes the most threes wins, right? Now you have to really be strategic in the way that you're going up against your opponent, because we're seeing, or people are seeing now, that you can't win that shootout style up against somebody like a Jokic, who's able to just sit there and get under the rim. He's not doing anything crazy, nothing difficult. He's not jumping out of the gym. He's not psyching you out. He's just putting the ball in the basket, hitting it off the backboard, getting it up to the open man. And whenever he gets that 3-point shot, he takes it, makes it, keeping it going. He's not just throwing it up. And I think I told you earlier, either this season or the previous season, a lot of those NBA games are very difficult to watch. And I can watch this style of basketball. So even though I was rooting for the Lakers because I wanted to see LeBron do something, at this point in his career, I'm not mad that Denver's there. And I wouldn't be mad if Denver won it all, because the league adapts to the champion. And if we get, more basketball like this would be a lot better to watch. And I think they'll have a better product on the court for it.
We see here's what Denver really proved is that, you have to understand is that When they beat Phoenix, they proved it's like, oh, well, you need more than 2 top 10 players to beat us. When they beat the Lakers, they proved it's like, oh, well, you need more than 2 top 10 players and a bigger front line. Like, cause think about it, we knew that they were bigger than Phoenix, but the Lakers actually had some comparable size, and it didn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So both of those teams, are probably going to try to reload around Denver's situation because Denver's about to win this.
That's how it always is.
I got a couple points. First of all, if Denver does win, here's why people need to reload in the West. You don't want them to be the 1 seed. You don't want to have to go to Denver with them as an NBA championships, the way that city is about sports, and with that altitude, and with them actually having some swagger and cachet, it's going to be harder to walk in there next year if they win than it is this year if they get the number 1 seed. So teams better tool up and be ready to play 82 games in the West next season.
Because the nerves will be gone. The experience will be there. I mean, they'll have some nerves,
no, Mike,
but
they're not
like
showing any nerves. They're playing like they're about to win the championship. It's going to be a problem. They're playing like they're about – and let me last say this. Well, not finishing off Boston, I think, is costing Miami this championship because they look tired, and they were already the smaller and inferior team. And they needed some sort of rest against this team, and they didn't get it because they didn't finish the job. And I think it's about to cost us maybe a good NBA Finals unless they can turn the tide, but it's definitely about to cost them a championship. Even if this goes 7 games, Mike, they're not going to have gas.
I mean, I felt that way once it went to Game 6 and they didn't finish the job there. I was like, I don't even really want to see either one of these teams in the finals at this juncture. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, Booker is better than Murray, but Murray is better than Mitch.
Hey, hold on.
Mitchell.
Hey, hold on. Pause right there. I did a top 20 list of players, and I'm with you because I got Booker at 12, Murray at 14, and Mitchell at 16.
Y'all tripping on Mitchell, but I feel you.
No, we're not. What has Mitchell done?
There it is. I mean, I'm just going off the eye test.
Who won that series? Who won that Utah series?
Yeah.
Who won that Utah-Denver series where they was going back and forth?
That's real. He said that Mitchell. Booker was killing Murray when they played. They just weren't healthy. I'm taking Mitchell over Murray, me personally. But again, y'all saying that I'm sleeping on Murray or whatever.
Give me a healthy Murray because I think he's a better decision maker. Like, he does things better. Like, Mitchell's the better scorer, but Murray's actually the better shooter. And he's the better team player in the sense that it's like when you put Murray in the pick and roll with Jokic, like, that's a beautiful thing.
But we don't have Mitchell playing with Jokic. I'm sure. I mean, again, in a vacuum, we can't really tell, but Donovan Mitchell's a really good basketball player, man. I watched a lot of the Cleveland games.
I have Murray at Mike. Okay, listen to my list. It goes Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, Luka, KD. That's my top 5. The next 5 are LeBron, Steph, Jimmy Butler, Dame, and Anthony Davis. That's the top 10. 11 is Kawhi, 12 is Booker, 13 is Tatum, 14 is Murray, 15 is Kyrie, 16 is Mitchell. I got him between, I got him between Kyrie and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's obviously not a bum. I got him right next to Kyrie.
Wow. Well, you know what? I know I posted something on my personal Facebook that you took issue with. We were talking. Well, I saw a meme that was talking about the 17 championships that both Boston and LA have. The Lakers, that is, obviously. And I said, you know what? Looking at these banners, the Celtics got them Babe Ruth championships, man. Look.
No, let's stop the Lakers championship
57. First. No. Let's look at it like this, though. This was what I said. I said, basically, in my lifetime, 41 years old, right? The Celtics have won 3 championships since I've been alive. The Lakers have won 10 since I've been alive. Now, if we really look at it, 84, 86 are the ones that I'm talking about, 2 out of the 3. The only one I actually saw the Celtics win was 2008. Now, let's be fair. The ones that I saw the Lakers win, I barely remember 88, so I won't even count that. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2009, 2010, and 2020. And so when I'm looking at it, man, these are Babe Ruth championships, man. It's 57, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 68, 69, 74, 76. Were basketball games even being televised then? Were the NBA finals even being televised then? And we have to ask ourselves, are the bright lights even in effect at that point? Because if you're not nationally televised, you ain't got everybody in the world talking about you. You ain't got the microscope of a sports center and all of that. That's a whole different dynamic.
Mike,
And you got 8 teams in the league, by the way. And probably like 5 or 6 teams in the league. Come on, man.
Mike, are you done?
I'm done for the moment.
First of all, let's get a few things clear. I like how you tried to skew this argument and lie to the people.
What
First
did I
of all,
lie
let's
about?
Well, if you let me talk, I can run your lies down from jump. First of all, let's run down the first lie. When you're talking about all these championships being won in an 8-man team format, understand that the Lakers as a team won 5 championships before the Celtics won 1. So they won under the same format and they did it first. So
Okay.
It was actually 5 championships by the Lakers before Boston even went on their run.
Okay.
Correct?
That's correct.
So when you're complaining about it, then go ahead and take 5 of those Lakers championships off the board.
Look,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm not taking them off. I'm just looking at 10 championships versus 3 since I've been alive.
Mike, I was trying to make an argument, and it's kind of funny. Like when you were making your argument, I let you talk. I'm making my argument.
Go ahead. I just wanted to respond.
An opportunity to finish. No. It's okay. I can understand when you're wrong, you get defensive. It happens. That's just a psychological trait. We all are triggered by those things. Mental health is real. What you really have, Mike, is a situation where championships, Mike, quite frankly, are won by players and then great teams built around great players. What you really have, Mike, is that in the modern, and here's the reality of the matter. Well, in the previous era, how many top 10 players all time at the time did Boston have? Well, Boston had Bill Russell. Like, people have to understand, like, Bill Russell for people, until Magic Johnson and Kareem, was considered to be the best basketball player ever. So it's like, if you were ranking... No, Mike, there are actually, like, surveys and polls on this. I don't think you understand. He won the MVP in the year Oscar Robertson averaged the triple-double, and Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds. This isn't conjecture. This is factual. Amongst his peers, the MVP was voted on by his peers. In a season where that happened, his peers still voted him MVP. He was considered to be the greatest basketball player of all time. So the Celtics had the greatest player. But Mike, in terms of at the time, you could argue they had probably 3 or 4 of the top 15 players of all time at the time. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They had Havlicek. They had Kuzi. They had Sam Jones. You know what I mean?
Right.
At the time, it's like, well, you got Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, and those guys, you know what I'm saying? And a couple other guys in between. So it's like the Celtics had the most top 10 to 15 players. If you flash forward to modern day times, Mike, it just flipped. The Celtics won 11 with Russell and Havlicek and Kuzi and Sam Jones and all them. And in modern times, well, guess what, Mike? Magic, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe. I'm not done. No,
they won 11?
I didn't time out you.
No, they won 11? That's incredible, man. So that's 6 left over.
Yeah, Boston won 11. They won 11 out of 13. But hold on, Mike. The Lakers did get one of those championships in between that 11 and 13. The Warriors got one and the Lakers got one. So in that stretch out of 11 and 13, only the Lakers got in the Warriors. And the only reason the Warriors got in is because Russell got hurt, because the Celtics would have won 12 out of 13. But that was about players, Mike. Modern day time, the Lakers got 10 because they got Magic, Kareem, Shaq, and Kobe. In modern day times, Mike, 10 greatest players of all time. Didn't I just name 4 of them?
Mm-hmm.
You know how many the Celtics got in modern day time? They got Larry Bird. That's why they got 3. It's that simple, Mike. You can go look at the players, the all-time great players, and who was all-time great at the time, and that's how you can parse out the rings, and that's why rings do matter. It's like you're asking why the Celtics got, and Mike, it's actually 4 in modern day times because Bird got 3 rings and KG and the Celtics got 1, so that's 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
so
look, Bird's Bird, and you know how I feel about Bird. I personally like Bird's game more than I like Magic's. But all I'm saying is, as a franchise, what this looks like, it looks like they had one very dominant team in a.
No, they had 2.
You said that squad won 11.
Yeah, that's the one dominant team, and then the Celtics team in the '80s. They've had two dominant
I mean,
teams.
they were a powerhouse, but they were back and forth with the Lakers. I'm talking about dominant, like what Bill
Oh, well,
Russell
I
and
mean,
them
if that's
did.
the case, the Lakers never had a dominant
Yeah,
team outside of a Shaq and Kobe three-peat, Mike, if that's the truth.
because this
Because
team looks like
the Lakers were going back and forth with the Celtics, the Pistons, and the 76ers for
exactly,
the whole decade. They were just the
exactly.
best team because they had Magic and Kareem.
Because this squad's more like that Yankees team that had Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, you know what I'm saying, Lou Gehrig. It's like, they were just running through people because they just had a squad. And let's just be perfectly honest. Other teams just weren't stacked like them.
Can I just tell you something, Mike? I mean, and this is just, for people that saw Bill Russell play, Mike, I think you're just really underrating who Bill Russell was. I don't think you understand how people used to talk about this man and what he really did for the game of basketball and what a great all-around player, defender, rebounder, and team player that he was. If not for Wilt, Mike, like, it wouldn't even be a question. Like, real talk. Like, you know what I mean? Wilt's the only reason that it's even conversational. It's like that.
It's
So it's like,
interesting
I think
though,
you're
man. It's
undervaluing.
like
No, Mike, you're undervaluing a guy that played 21 game sevens and never lost one.
it's interesting though when we talk about Will.
Don't you think that's odd,
Everybody
Mike?
like
Don't you think that's a little bit odd that you're undervaluing a man that does that, though?
it's interesting though when we talk
That's
about
top
Will.
five player type shit, Mike.
Can
I
I
don't care what
let,
era
let
it
me let
is.
me say something? I think it's
I don't care
interesting.
what era it
I
is.
think it's interesting when we talk about Wilt and his stats. People seem to care what era it is. They always talk about who he
I
played
don't.
against, blah blah blah. But Russell, he was the third black player I think in the NBA history, him third or fourth, and he got in there, got in with a great squad. He was clearly more athletic and superior
He didn't
physically
get
than
in with the
everybody else that
great
was out
squad,
there.
Mike. Mike, this is what I'm saying about how you're underrating him. You need to look at the Boston. Mike, how about this? I'm about to give you some
Give me
context.
Wilt.
You know who the Boston Celtics were before Bill Russell showed up? They were the Orlando Magic before Shaquille O'Neal showed up. Put some respect on Bill Russell's name.
No. He's great. He's great.
No, Mike. Stop saying that he's great. I just watched you wax poetic about Shaq and what Shaq did and how immediately they became contenders as soon as Shaq showed up. Well, Mike, imagine that times 10 because Bill Russell showed up and they started winning championships. Ain't no championships before Bill Russell. So you are understating it because I just watched you talk about how incredible Shaq was for how quick the Magic became championship contenders just by him showing up. The Celtics were nobodies. The Lakers had 5 championships before Bill Russell showed up.
This is true. But also, Shaq is in a whole different.
Like, he's that guy. I'm sorry, Mike. He's the best player
you
of his
can't
era.
control who you played against or whatever. But Shaq is in a whole different era. Again, television coverage,
But
lights
you can't
is
say Bill
on.
Russell didn't play against anybody because he was the first one there, and he had to play against all the young guys coming for his spot, and he still won 11 of the 13 years.
He had a really great team. But
Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and Oscar Robertson and Elgin Baylor are after Bill Russell. Why couldn't they beat him, Mike, if they so great?
Well, I mean, when Wilt Chamberlain matched up against him, he got 55 rebounds in a game on Bill Russell. That happened. Jay Short with the super chat says, Bill Russell won as a black man in Boston in the 60s. What pressure? Super pressure. Mad Max in the super chat says...
It's what I'm trying to say is the championships are based usually on the greatness of the players. It's like, if you really understood who Bill Russell was for his era, you have to understand, no, he Magic, he's Michael, he's LeBron, he's first. Like, he was the first one to really be like number one, like that dude like that. They were all gunning for him, including Will. They couldn't beat him.
I wouldn't say him.
And so you're
I hear what you're saying.
That winning these rings is based on those players. Bill Russell's that type of player.
Bill Russell had a lot of guys on his team.
Magic,
man.
Kareem, Shaq, Kobe. You need those type of players to win these type of championships.
Havlicek was pretty good.
You know how many other organizations got top 10 players? Everybody else got one top 10 player. The Celtics and the Lakers got 6 of the 10. They got Larry Bird and Bill Russell, Magic, Kareem, Shaq, and Kobe. Sprinkle in Michael Jordan, Bulls, Tim Duncan, Spurs,
Bill
King
Russell,
Olajuwon, Rockets. What are we doing?
They said Bill
LeBron.
Russell played with no less than 3 Hall of Famers and as many as 7. So, he's pretty
How
fortunate. He
many
has a
Hall of
pretty
Famers
good
did Will
casino.
Chamber play with? He played with Hal Greer. He played with
Let's
Jerry
see.
Lucas. He played with Jerry West. He played with about 4 or 5 or 6
Oh,
Hall of Famers
you're
himself.
talking
That's what I'm
about
saying.
when
This
he
is
was.
wild.
You were
Oscar
talking
Robertson
about.
played
You're
with
talking about
Kareem
when
for
he
4
was
years.
washed.
Oscar Robertson played with Kareem for 4 years in Kareem's real prime and only won 1 ring. Stop that.
Come on, man. You talking about when Wilt was washed, man. All right. Wilt played with hold on, how many Hall of Famers did Wilt play with?
Stop that.
Wilt played
Stop that.
with who was Wilt Chamberlain's best teammates? They got Guy Rogers, Al Eddies, and Jerry
No.
West. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
No.
Wilt didn't
Mike.
really play with guys like that. Like, Bill was playing with like 7 Hall of Famers, including the coach, I mean, not saying he wasn't
Hold on, Mike.
great, but he
His
had
Philadelphia
guys.
Mike. His Philadelphia 76ers team featured 2 other Hall of Famers, Billy Cunningham and Hal Greer.
Hal
That's the
Greer
team
and
that won the
Cunningham.
championship, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 right there. Did he not play with Jerry West as well?
He was washed at that point. I wouldn't say
He
washed,
led
but
the
it's
league
in
in
the
assists,
history.
Mike.
I mean, it's Wilt, man. Even a washed Wilt can lead the league in assists.
Mike, first of all, this is what I'm saying. Like, you don't lead the league in assists when you're washed. That's why Chris Paul didn't lead the league in assists.
Well, I wouldn't say totally washed, but he was a step down from what he once was. Let's
Mike,
just be
they won
real.
the championship.
It's not like
Mike,
him
what the hell are
coming
you
in the
talking
league
about, Mike?
like Bill
Mike,
Russell came
it wasn't
in the
a step
league.
down, Mike. He was actually playing with other players, so he didn't need to. He didn't need to score like that, Mike. Don't you understand that?
Yeah. And Bill never had to because he always had guys. Mad Max of the Super Chat says
So,
he also missed wide open shots. Don't count out Jimmy Buckets. He's Kobe and MJ without the
oh
talent.
no, Mike.
Oh,
Gail Goodrich, Hall of Famer. Chet Walker, Hall of Famer. Paul Arzon, Hall of Famer. No, he actually played with more Hall of Famers because he moved around and he
okay.
played longer.
Jay Short with the Super Chat says nobody dismissed the Celtics dynasty until the 90s when they tried to promote Jordan and the Bulls as the GOAT winners. If you can't surpass them, discredit them.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. You said how many Hall of Famers did Wilt Chamberlain play with, Mike? The answer is 8.
Okay. Over a course of time.
But he played longer. 11 to 13. 13 years for Bill Russell. Like, I think Chamberlain played, 15 or 16, something like that?
Something
that ain't
like
my
that.
fault, though. But he played with more Hall of Famers, just so we're clear.
On a consistent basis on the same team, though? I mean, because that's the thing with Bill Russell. Like, he played with Hall of Famers right there on that Celtics organization. It's nobody's fault. I'm just putting it in context, He came into the league where he was the missing piece for this squad. And like you said, they won right away. They had a really, really good team.
No. He wasn't the missing piece for the squad. He the squad. What part of that you missing?
You don't win 11 championships
You keep talking
yourself.
about some missing piece. He ain't the missing piece, Mike. He the piece.
Who was on that?
You don't understand.
Who was on that 57?
Why are you missing that? He's the piece.
Who was on that 57 Celtics squad? Let's see. Let's look at this roster.
First of all, Bill Russell got drafted in 1956.
Well, they won in 57, though. They got Bob Cousy, Sam Jones on this squad. Bill Russell. Okay. Those are the notable names.
That's 2. Go ahead.
What did Bob Cousy do that year? Hold on. I want to see.
Yeah. Havlicek came like year number 3 or 4 or something like that. They Bill Russell. Yeah.
Bob Cousy that year, he was 18-7. Pretty good. Let's see what Sam Jones did that year. See, Sam Jones. See, he was a rookie. See, he didn't have his weight up yet.
They got drafted together, Mike. After Bill Russell won back-to-back national championship. After the back-to-back national championships, Mike. After winning the state championship in high school too, Mike.
No,
go ahead,
right.
keep going.
No, Bill Russell's great.
Mad
Mad Max of the Super Chat says, Mike, Bill Russell is the second behind MJ. You need to stop. Get him, Coop. I'm with you on this. I'm a Laker fan, and Mike is losing.
Wild.
But what's the problem with me saying those are Babe Ruth-ish championships? Not saying that the 60s and 50s and all that don't count, but what's the pressure look like in the NBA Finals if it's not even televised? Like, you got to realize that in the 80s beyond, it's a whole different level of pressure as the league has advanced. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why we hold Michael Jordan so high for how he won and how consecutively he won. We never saw anybody do multiple three-peats in the television era. It's a lot of pressure. And dealing with the media. And dealing with, you know what I'm saying, the ESPNs of the world. That's new. Right?
Okay.
I mean,
So,
does that
Mike,
not count for something?
So here's what I'll tell you, Mike.
Okay.
The 1956-57 Celtics, that starting five, all of those guys are in the Hall of Fame.
Mm.
That's Bill Russell, Tommy Heinsohn, Frank Ramsey, Bill Sharman, Bob Cousy. Casey Jones would come in 1958. He's also in the Hall of Fame. And then John Havlicek, who's in the Hall of Fame. So he did have players. But what I am trying to tell you, he's very much LeBron and Mike-like in the sense that these players are not necessarily Hall of Fame players if you take Bill
Him
Russell
out of the equation.
out of the equation. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He's important.
Do you feel like that about the Bird Celtics? Or do you think all
Yes.
those guys would be Hall of
Like
Famers
if Kevin
without
McHale
Bird?
and Robert Parrish are your focal points, you're a 4 and 5 seed every year, and you might make 1 or 2 conference finals, but you're not winning 3 championships. No.
The NBA Finals started getting televised nationally in 1970. And so after 1970, Boston won 74, 76, 81, 84, 86, and 08. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And since 1970, the
Lakers got
Lakers have
11.
won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. I don't know,
They won
man. I think
61.
that means something, you know, and not to discount anything from yesteryear. Obviously, that has a place in history, and you got to document history properly. But when we talk about the lights being bright, how bright are the lights if the lights aren't even on yet? Just some
I feel you, Mike.
thoughts.
I mean, I'm just telling you, Mike. I'm just looking at Bill Russell's numbers, and I'm looking like this is a man that came into the league averaging 20 rebounds a game. It's like, yeah.
No. Listen, man. I would never disregard or disrespect Bill Russell and his impact. Obviously, he was super. I'm just, we're splitting hairs when we're talking.
But this is what I'm saying, Mike. Like, let's not act like Wilt's not around like while he's winning all these rings. Listen, so Bill Russell shows up in 56, 57. Wilt shows up in 59, 60.
Mm-hmm.
He literally won almost all of these rings in front of Wilt.
He did.
He won all of them in front of Oscar.
Who do you think?
Jerry West is 1-9 in the NBA Finals. Do you know why?
Who do you think had the better team, though?
Mike,
it matters who has the better team.
No. This is what I keep trying to tell you. Mike, how many times do you think the Chicago Bulls had the better team?
Every time. What are you talking about?
I don't think they're better than the... Mike,
all
no,
6
times.
About
this. The Trailblazers teams and the Phoenix Suns
teams. They were better
teams?
than those teams, yes. Yeah.
No,
they were.
No, they did not have a better team than that Phoenix Suns team. That's a lie.
They did.
They had the best player on the planet.
They had
and Barkley,
the better team.
Mike, and listen to what I'm saying. And the Phoenix Suns had the second best player on the planet.
Why do you feel like the Phoenix Suns had the better team? Is my question.
First of all, they won about 7 or 8 more games more than the Bulls. They beat them during the regular season handily during one of those games.
But
they
the
had
Bulls
the second best player in
just
the league
won.
in the MVP.
But the Bulls had just won 2 in a row, and
that year.
I mean, come on, man.
I'm talking about the previous 2 years.
So are you telling me in 1993 you were picking the Phoenix Suns to beat the Chicago Bulls?
No. I didn't think they were going to win. I said they had the better team.
They weren't the better team.
That's dumb.
They weren't the better team. You know how many rebounds that Wilt averaged in his rookie season?
Probably 25.
27. Jesus. So every time this man was getting on the court, because he played all 82 games, and all the minutes of these 82 games,
so
he's getting you 27 rebounds.
Mike, if I told you, and this is what I keep trying to express to you, like, you understand that, like, the Celtics kept beating the Lakers. Like, you understand the Lakers had Elgin Baylor and Jerry West.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Mike, if you were ranking players in the league, you would probably go Bill, Wilt, Elgin, Jerry. Like, yeah.
Would I be wrong to say that Jerry West kind of didn't come up big in big time situation? How many championships West got?
Wasn't there, Mike? How about this? The numbers say he balled so hard, University.
Yeah, but the numbers also say he didn't close the deals either.
It says Elgin Baylor didn't close deals. It just says Jerry West balled so hard, University, Mike. If you really want to know the truth.
Mad Max with the super chat says, Bill made everyone Hall of Famers except Kuzi. Mike, you need to stop. Have Kane at the end. That's like saying DTB had Kawhi. Stop it. Yeah, I mean, people again. Teams are teams. I saw another meme the other day, right? And then we'll go on to the music, right? According to the NBA. I saw a meme where it was like they were showing championships. Actually, they were showing who won championships over the past 10 years, right? And the graphic was like showing individual players. And the graphic had LeBron, Steph, and Kawhi. And they were like, they were just showing each player that represented the team that won. And I'm like, well, now show who got the finals MVPs for each of these finals. Steph's name was in there like 4 times, and it was representative of Golden State. And I'm like, yeah, Golden State won. He has a ring, but he wasn't even the finals MVP for these things. All I'm saying is he had a really good team. That's not taking anything away from Steph, but the way people try to rewrite it, and I'm not saying this is what's going on with Russell, people will try to rewrite it like Steph went out there and won these championships in the same manner that Michael Jordan or LeBron James won their championships. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's very important, but he clearly wasn't the most important piece for at least 2 of them. I think he got robbed the first time with Iggy or whatever, but again, that just shows you how great LeBron was. They gave him the MVP for just guarding LeBron and getting smashed at the same time.
Mike, you do understand that, like, Bill Russell won 2 rebounding titles in the middle of Wilt's prime. Like, I'm just looking at all of it right now. I'm just looking at it, Mike. When you're talking about, like, Wilt's rebounds, it's like, you understand, like, he's averaging, like, 25, 26, like, Bill Russell's averaging, like, 23, 24. Like, I'm looking at the numbers. Like, it's like, Mike, first of all, Russell is, like, they're comparable as rebounders, even though Wilt is bigger and stronger and faster. They're comparable as rebounders. It's just Wilt's a better scorer.
I was gonna say, now tell me what the points look like. I mean, because when Wilt's averaging 27 rebounds, he's averaging 37 points.
Well, Mike, do you know why they say defense wins championships? That's because of Bill Russell, Mike.
Of course. And I think that the reason why they were saying that scorers couldn't win championships because of Wilt.
You gonna let me talk?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Every time I try to make a point during the show, you keep cutting me off. Point that I tried to make. No. It's all good. Mike, the reason that they say defense wins championships is because these guys went head-to-head almost every year. And almost every year, defense kept beating offense, Mike.
Yeah.
So those offensive numbers, they just offensive numbers. It ain't like that when it's money time. Bill Russell is money when it's money time. No, this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. Listen to this. In 1965-66, Bill Russell averaged 22.8 rebounds. It's the first time he didn't average 23 in 7 years, okay?
Right.
They beat Wilt Chamberlain 76ers 4-1 in the conference finals to go to the finals. Now,
wow.
If Wilt Chamberlain is who you say that he is, Mike, why they keep losing 4-1, 4-2? Like, they lost some 7-game series, but they got that ass swept in 4-1 a lot, too. Now, why is that happening if Bill Russell not that dude?
Well, if you let me speak, I was going to say that I actually agree with you on some of those things, and that's why they were saying that a scorer couldn't win championships based on Wilt. And I will also admit that Wilt's playoff numbers were nowhere near what his regular season numbers were.
You want to know why that was? A lot of that has to do with how Bill Russell. No, this is if you go look at it, Mike, he had a lot of big games against Bill Russell. He had a lot of games where he underperformed against Bill Russell too. Hold on, right here, Mike. In the 1965 NBA playoffs, the Celtics played the Eastern Division Finals against the Sixers, a team that had traded for Chamberlain. Russell held Chamberlain to a pair of field goals in the first 3 quarters of Game 3.
That's insane. That's insane.
Defense wins championships.
It's true.
In Game 5, Russell had 12 points, 28 rebounds, 7 assists, 10 blocks, 6 steals.
Russell was a defensive juggernaut.
So when you're talking about what Wilt Chamberlain is offensively is what Bill Russell is defensively. You understand that, right? And they're comparable rebounders, and one was a better team player than the other because the other guy played with more Hall of Famers. All right.
OJ Winston with the super chat says Celtics were the first team to integrate basketball. They started winning when they drafted that brother. Just saying. Well, yeah, I mean, clearly, like Coop highlighted, they were down 5 championships to the Lakers off jump. They had to go get some brothers in the building.
No, and you know that was the rationale for that, right?
It was. I know exactly.
Yeah. No. Like Red was like, no, fuck that. He's like, where the niggas at? He's like, oh, what?
You know, I have a before we move on to music, man. I have a conspiracy theory, excuse me, for this show. Maybe I've said it on the show before, but I'm not sure if I totally don't believe that Babe Ruth wasn't a person of color. Have you ever seen a white man's nose that big?
I believe he does have some indigenous roots, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he does too. It's probably why he dominated. And I'm not saying that to be racial or anything, but it is what it is. Like, he dominated out there. He was from somewhere else. Like, regardless of what people think about Babe Ruth, he went out there and he put the bar high early.
Where's he from? Where's he from?
I don't know. I think that he has some German background. I believe.
Where was he born here in America? You know, might have a little Blackfoot, a little Cherokee or something. A little patois.
Because again, I can't think of any white American with a nose that big. Pause.
I really don't be looking at Babe Ruth or Babe Ruth's nose.
I mean, can't help it. It's right there. He was born in Baltimore. Mad Max of the Super Chat says racism is the pressure. Dude took a number 2 in Bill bed. Oh, nigga took a number 2 in Bill's bed while he won them rings. Getting bashed in the paper. Getting bashed in the paper like it was gut.
No, they smeared it on the walls too. Don't forget the part about them smearing it on the walls. It wasn't just in the bed; they smeared it on the walls.
That's terrible, man. Jay Short with Super Chat says, Mike, I could use what if arguments against the 90s Bulls. No social media back then or daily sports shows. Contracts were longer. Imagine if the Knicks got Reggie Miller or Malone went to Orlando. It's true. Listen, I just want to play devil's advocate here. Mad Max with another super chat says, Bill also was handicapped. Black players weren't allowed to show their abilities until Wilt and Elgin Baylor. Let's see. Man, we talking about a lot today. Did you want to start on this Metro soundtrack?
We can go Metro.
You know what? I saw that White Man Can't Jump movie yesterday.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was bad. But
I could have seen that.
This is my quick review, and I'm just doing this because, we're talking about this soundtrack and we're talking about movies. And I was like, okay, they should have done a soundtrack for this one. They played a bunch of music from like yesteryear. I don't even think the movie should have even been a reboot because it's characters of different names. It was really no correlation to the theme of White Man Can't Jump. Because if you remember, for the people out there who have seen the original White Man Can't Jump, that was part of the story. Billy, Woody Harrelson's character, he couldn't dunk. You know what I mean? And they were making fun of him for it, but he could ball. And
that's not ball so hard.
That had nothing to do with any of this. And it was like, man, they could have just called this movie something else. The basketball highlights on there really weren't that good, right? The story.
How are the games, Mike? We get some dope game action,
No, the gaming action wasn't good. It really wasn't. They had, I don't know if you watched Power, but the guy who was playing Sean, Ghost's driver, 50 Cent's son on there, he was the one that was playing the Sydney character. Yeah. So, man, the basketball moves weren't too great.
He's the bad guy in the movie?
Yeah, he's in that movie. Kenya Barris was the producer, executive producer. He
Oh,
put on the
okay.
movie, and I usually like Kenya Barris' stuff, but this one wasn't good, and I think it wasn't good because of the writing more so than anything else. And I'm gonna say this: Jack Harlow did a decent job acting, especially if we're talking about somebody who's never acted in a full length film before, who didn't have to audition. It makes me feel like, listen, I feel like he has some experience. I feel like he's done this acting thing before. Because when you look at that movie, he doesn't look like somebody who's never gotten in front of the camera and
Drake?
acted a whole. You know what I'm saying, huh?
Drake?
I don't think Drake was able to teach him that because Drake hadn't acted in forever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Drake gave him some contacts to some of his acting people, but or acting instructors. But I feel like it's possible that Jack Harlow's been acting from the jump, kind of like some Tupac type stuff, and we just don't know about it because I didn't expect him to be that good in a role that he's never done any role. Like he hadn't done a small role before. Like you remember when we saw Ti for the first time in that ATL movie? The movie
Hmm.
was so it was written well enough where he was able to be carried. And you got guys like Jason Weaver who are experienced and stuff that can
Yeah,
kind of help
experienced
along,
acting crew
but
around
you
him.
could
Yeah.
tell he's still inexperienced. This didn't look like that. This looked
Isn't that
like
a
this
good
man's
thing?
acted before, man.
Isn't
So,
that a good thing?
huh? That's a good thing.
Mm.
That's the best thing that I could take away from the film. I mean, I think that he has a brighter acting career than a rap career, in my personal opinion. But that's just me.
That
This is
might have
Little Dicky
always
done
been
right.
that might have been the plan anyway.
I think it was. Looking at that, I was like, this might have been the plan anyway. Mad Max of the Super Chat says Babe Ruth was black. I said it on the show before. And y'all tried to brush me off. I don't think I tried to brush you off for that, man. I've always
Actually,
felt that way.
actually, that was probably me. But what I tell you, Mike, is that you know how I feel about evidence, Mike. There's so here's always how
Swallow
I
your
frame
nose.
things, Mike. When people ask me about, well, do you think certain disciples or certain deical figures, do I think if they were people of color, I tell them it's like, say, well, Peter is from, Galilee, Galilee is in Syria, Mike, and he's a fisherman. So he spends his days in the water. It's like, I don't know no white people like that from Syria that spend their days in the sun by the water that like don't have like some sort of pigment like to their skin. And
Yeah.
so in this situation, Mike, let's bring up where Babe Ruth is from right quick because some of it seems very blackety black, 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 Mike. First of all, he's in Babe Ruth's raised in a place called Pigtown, which is southwest Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike, it's a Martin Luther King Drive Boulevard down in Pigtown. You know when there's an MLK, there's usually. Now, Mike, it was a neighborhood that acquired its name during the second half of the 19th century. The area was a site of butcher shops and meatpacking plants to process pigs transported from the Midwest on the B&O Railroad, Mike, the actual B&O Railroad. So, Mike, Pigtown is by the railroad tracks.
Mm.
I don't know if I don't know what you know historically about black towns like, I don't know, Black Wall Street District, Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Little Africa on the other side of the railroad tracks that would separate the black side from the white side. But anyway, Pigtown also was originally part, Mike, of what is called Mount Clair Plantation. 2,400-acre estate owned by Dr. Charles Carroll in the 18th century. That's the 1700s. So that means there's a bunch of niggas that's been running around on that territory and that land since the 1700s.
Interesting.
We know that it's literally a 2,400-acre plantation. Mike, for people who don't know how acres work, my granddad used to own 7 acres of land. We were afraid of going in the back 2 acres. So 2,400. It's different, you know what I'm saying? So that's probably, quite frankly, it's a lot of enslaved black people over that territory, Mike.
So it's a possibility.
Mike, it's definitely a possibility because, quite frankly, he operated the largest pig iron furnace in the colonies prior to the American Revolution. Now, how is he going to operate the largest pig iron furnace in the entire colonies without some, help?
Mm-hmm. Jay Short with the super
So
chat says, "I'm getting old," or is it hip hop plus basketball collaborations are dated now? It's
And
like,
for
am
those who
I
don't know,
getting
the
old, or
B&O
is
Railroad is literally the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. It was a railroad line set to go from literally from the Midwest to Baltimore, because Baltimore is a port and a harbor as well. So,
somebody
so Mike,
say that he's Dominican?
there's some smoke here, Mike. There's some smoke.
And Marilyn Monroe's Hispanic. All right, we're moving on.
Yeah, the Mount Clair Mansion was built in 1763, Mike.
Hey.
Oh, look, Mike, the blue collar culture of Pigtown began with the individuals who worked on the B&L Railroad and German immigrants. So who's to say one of those German immigrants,
Yeah.
and one of those people who have been colonized by the colonizers?
It's possible. It's
Being
possible.
congregate and capitulate. You got
It
to
would
see your mind.
explain. It would explain the nose, definitely. For the people that think that I'm comparing Jack Harlow to Tupac, come on, guys, don't be ridiculous. I'm comparing his early training possibly to the Tupac early training. Who knows?
Did Tupac really get early training like that? I mean, he went to a school of the arts, but that was at his own volition.
No, exactly, yeah. But, again, yeah, that was on his... Now, I'm not saying he got some early training from agent-type sources. He did that on his own.
It's very problematic.
But yeah, I'm going to get back to Jay Short's super chat before we move on. He says, am I getting old, or is the hip-hop plus basketball collaboration dated now? I don't know. I mean, I think hip hop and basketball are always going to be, joined at the hip. I mean, look at my man over there in Memphis, Ja Morant. He uses hip hop in all of his stuff. Mad Max with the super chat says Beethoven, Shakespeare, Queen Elizabeth, King James, all black. Just say that too. Okay. Leroy Green with the super chat. Leroy in here early. He says there's a video only a few minutes long on this channel called Building 7 that shows and explains the history of religions, and it's 100% based on historical evidence without disrespecting anybody. Check that out. Spurs 22 with the super chat says just home from the Nas and Wu show in Stockholm. It was amazing. Oh, man, you got to tell us about that. All right. Speaking of music and speaking of all that, Metro Boomin dropped his soundtrack that he totally produced. And I hear the Honorable C Note was on there. You can hear his tag on some of the beats. But this was pretty much Metro Boomin's project for the Spider-Man soundtrack. Let me put this track list on the screen. And yes, the Spider-Verse. This soundtrack, had everybody from Wayne, Offset, A$AP Rocky, Nas, 21 Savage, 2 Chainz, Carly Rae. I mean, everybody. What did you think about the soundtrack?
I was very impressed.
I was impressed too. Metro came right back. I saw a lot of resemblance of the album that he put out last year as far as continuity and the way that the transitions came through. You know how he was transitioning, and on that other album he was changing the beats too much to me. I think that it was a little bit of overproduction there sometimes, but with this one he was able to make some cinematic things that I could definitely see on screen.
Gonna heap some praise today and also ask some questions.
Okay.
When I heard this soundtrack, you want to know what I actually thought about?
What's that?
I thought about Prince when he did the Batman soundtrack.
I thought about that too, and I don't know if it was because it was superhero and the subject matter and stuff, but yeah, I thought about that too.
Well, here's also why I thought about that too. Metro has made some massive hits, Mike.
Yeah.
Like you could argue that there are a lot of artists walking around right now, especially down here, Mike, who are who they are because they've had the fortune of linking up with this man who's not originally from here. He's originally from the Loop.
He made Bad and Bougie, guys. A lot of people
He made
forget that.
Mask Off.
Forget he did that. Well, there it is. there
That's all you
it
need to
is.
know. He made Bad and Bougie and Mask Off. He actually
She,
made Future's first big hit, Karate Chop, too.
he made Karate Chop. Now I know that. Yeah.
If Young Metro don't trust you. Right.
Yeah.
So, much like, and this is why I related to Prince doing the Batman soundtrack, it's like, well, is this his biggest banger? Like, there ain't no Raspberry Beret or When Doves Cry on the Batman soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? But it was really great. It was really cohesive, Mike, and it had a lot of bangers like Party Man, Scandalous, Vicky Waiting, the whole Bat Dance thing. You know what I'm
What's
saying?
different between that and Purple Rain, not to interrupt you, but he was able to insert those records into a non-music movie, which I
Yes.
could visualize with this too. Now, I haven't seen the Spider-Man movie, but I would imagine many of these records are being used throughout the film.
Now, right. And I'll tell you what, my daughter and I are actually going to go see this. She actually looked at me when I was taking her to work today, and she's like, we haven't been to movies together in a while. I was like, you actually want to hang out with me again? I'm like, that's totally cool. I'm like, let's
I'm
work
with
that
it.
out. Yeah. I was like, I'm with that. But you want to know what else she told me? She looked at me. She said, Daddy, Metro don't miss.
You know,
Yeah, that it's like, this is what I mean. I'm 41, so it's like in my mind, I don't see it that way. But and this is the discourse that we need to have because I was raised to listen to an album. My daughter wasn't raised the same way. So every time she hear Metro, Mike, it don't just slap, it kung fu kick. You know what I'm
Karate
saying?
Chop. For lack of a
Arm
better
tackle,
term.
figure four, leg lock, off the top turnbuckle. You know what I'm saying? It don't just slap. Because, I mean, she said it to me. You've met my daughter. Like, when she say it cold. As a matter of fact, she like, Metro don't miss, Daddy. Like, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, really? I was like, that's how they feel? It's like, that's how they feel outside.
Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about Metro. I think he's the best producer of this era. I think Hit Boy has crept on that with the Nas run. But before the Nas run, I was saying it was Metro for this era.
It was Metro before the Nas run. And in terms of the beat making, I mean, Mike, he's clearly the best beat maker of this era. And he is one of the best beat makers of all time. In my opinion, he is this generation's Jay Dilla in terms of it's like, did you hear that?
I see what you mean with that. I've always said he's this generation's Timbaland because of the sounds, but I see what you mean with the Dilla.
Yeah, because Dilla's the best beat maker of the era. But I've also said it in this way too, Mike. But much like Dilla, it's like, well, the albums. It's more really the beats and the work and the isolated stuff that you hear on other people's projects than it is the actual albums he's executive produced. But here's what I'm going to submit to you today.
Yeah.
That's changing because here's what I'm going to submit to you. I liked the last album. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was concise enough because my question about him as a producer is his ability to put an album together. And so I felt like it was a little lengthy and disjointed at times, even though it did have stuff on there that I loved, like Metro Spider, the Thug joint. You know what I'm saying? The 21 records on there are crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But this album is great, and it's concise, and it's diverse. And Mike, beat-wise, it's just like on some unfuckwittable type shit. It's like beat-wise, it's like he's the man as far as making a beat.
Did you notice, though, speaking of which, though, did you notice there's no cursing on there?
Yes. I actually have that in my notes. I was actually going to use that as like a highlight for part of what I liked about it, too, because it's for the kids, and it's a soundtrack.
I think that crippled a couple of artists on there. I'm going to talk about that, but I think some of the artists rose to the occasion in that situation. Offset being one of them, in my opinion. Obviously, Nas, I love the perspective. And again, this is Nas in his, this is him in his creative writing space, and him correlating Spider-Man's plight to his own, I thought was brilliant. I think it was brilliant for them to put that record at the end. I think it was brilliant for Metro to start that this album with the Annihilate song. Um,
So let's.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Right, I was about to say. So which one do you want to unpack first? Because I feel the same way about the album, and this is what I mean about how well the album was put together. Oh, perfect start off song, perfect ending song for various reasons. Which one you want to break down first?
Well, let's get to the super chat, and then we could break down the ending song, and then we'll just work backwards in that way.
Okay.
Mad Max with the super chat says Metro's the down south RZA. The way that he plays with the sounds, he is Beethoven / RZA, the great orchestrator. Very high praise there. I love it. Esquire with the super chat says Young Guru did an interview on a new podcast called Rap Stories about the making of American Gangster. He confirmed Mike's point about Kanye curating the Blueprint sound. Insightful interview. Well, thank you, Esquire, and I will be checking that out. And thank you, Young Guru, as well, for being honest and telling the truth. Leroy Green. I mean, I don't know, man.
Esquire,
I can tell these
Stop giving Mike Kanye West fire, okay?
I mean, I could tell these things. It's like I don't know that Rakim wrote Summertime, but I know Rakim wrote Summertime, you know what I'm saying?
Kanye West needs to give us our money back for that show, Mike. The Donda show. I want our money back.
I thought it was a great experience.
He just beat Adidas in court and got him another bag again. He got money to spare. Give my ticket money back, nigga.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Coop, Westside Gun confirmed Pray for Paris 2 is coming soon. What do you think about that? We haven't talked about that.
First of all, everybody should be worried. Album of the year pick. It's my album of the year pick. There we go. That's what I think of that.
He knows how great Pray for Paris
this year. Pray for Paris 2 or KD4. There we have it. I'm out. This Coop, I'm done here. Have a good night.
Mad Max with the super chat says, I told you Metro overhit. Metro changed the sound.
We're about to talk about it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, if you were to rank Black Panther above the Rim, Bad Boys 2, and this soundtrack, what would it be in your order? Is this a top 5 soundtrack? I mean, Above the Rim is number 1 to me. When you're talking about Black Panther,
Bad Boys 2? Bad Boys 2?
Yeah, I really didn't love Bad Boys 2 soundtrack like that. Am I tripping? Am I missing something? I mean, La 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 was crazy. Shake Your Tail Feather wasn't really, I would put Above the Rim in number 1 in this case. But when you're talking about Black Panther, are you talking about the Black Panther with the points? Are we talking about the Black Panther with the points, or are we talking about the superhero Black Panther? Because if we're talking about the one that Kendrick did, this album's better than the one that Kendrick did.
Why would that's not even? It's not even a question.
Yeah. All right, Mad Max.
Somebody ask a question.
Mad Max with the super chat says, "Give Metro."
Ask question.
This is what I was gonna say, Mad Max, and we're gonna talk about this. Mad Max says, "Give Metro an elite MC and watch what he creates because he really is like that." This is Mad Max from up top saying this. I feel that. So, speaking of elite MCs. And Metro Boomin, let's talk about now.
That's some of the discourse that I actually want to have about Metro after listening to these last 2 albums. But I'm going to approach it from a different perspective to try to get people to understand.
Well, let's talk about how the album ended. Nas Morales. What are your thoughts?
The first thing that I thought when I listened to the record the first time, and this is just me, and I'm a competitive guy, kind of stunting on Hit a little bit. Because he kind of did the beat switch shit that Hit did all through KD3 for Nas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I can do that for Nas too.
I mean, I'm sure it's inspired by what him and Hit was doing, and all producers are listening to each other as well.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, any music head, hip hop head is listening to what's going on.
But in a competitive way, it was good and healthy because it was really, really fucking dope beat, and the switch ups was nice.
Where do you think when we know Nas is a concept guy anyway, and an incredible concept writer.
He's the concept guy.
Yeah, he is the concept guy. So I'm pretty sure his concept came from, Nas. But it also feels like a lot of the guys on this soundtrack aren't really concept guys, but they stuck to a concept. Do you feel like Metro or whoever is feeding them concepts for like, look, this beat sound was made for this scene, this scene, this scene, or whatever. I need you to come from this perspective.
Possibility, but I'm pretty certain they all got to see the movie before as well.
Right.
But here's what I'll submit to you, and I don't know how you feel about it. Well, Mike, the two best Mike performances on here came from the two best MCs on here. That's Nas and Wayne.
Well, I was gonna say JID too. I think that's one of the best Mike performances.
But Mike, if we were ordering down the ranking of like MC capabilities, he would probably be third on the list. So I'm not.
I think JID's Mike.
That's why when you told me that you thought Offset was MVP, I'm thinking, well, no, like Wayne's verse, JID's verse, the Nas record. It's like Offset's just on there more because he has the relationship. But it's like I felt like he sounded dope, but I didn't feel like he was special. Oh no, Nas is special.
I think
Wayne
Offset
is special. JID's special.
I think Offset showed his versatility, getting on a record with Wayne, getting on a record with JID, and getting on a record with was it 8, and that was like a whole different vibe. I think he's showing his
Mike. No, you can't think that that's showing versatility. Like getting on a record with Wayne. Showing versatility, getting on a record with JID from the east side, you from the north side. That's versatility.
No, I think the type of record. I think the type of record that they made together, though. You know what I'm saying? Like this isn't something that.
I think that's Metro.
And I hate to say this,
you're giving Offset too much credit.
Well, I mean, I think the producer always is going to set the tone, but clearly, what Offset's been doing since the Migo breakup or whatnot, he's kind of been going the other direction from what Migos sound stuff is at, like their soundscape. Like when he did Ain't No Complaints with Drake, which is also Metro, you could still hear that, that's the Migo flow in there, but what he's been able to do is kind of branch off from that, and he kind of just sounds like himself now. He really did a little bit of that on his first solo album, but again, I think that his versatility and what he's been able to show on this soundtrack, I think it kind of shows you that, okay, he has a solo album obviously coming, but his solo album's not going to sound like the Migos stuff. Like Quavo's stuff has sounded like the Migos stuff. You know what I'm saying? Even jumping on the record with JID. Now, I get it. Wayne, everybody jumps on records with Wayne. Wayne's super versatile and all of that. But the fact that Offset and JID got on a record together, I think is a great thing to see, and it should have happened a long time ago.
I get what you're saying, Mike. It's just like, for me, that's more about Metro.
Yeah, I mean, he's the orchestrator of all of this. You know what I'm saying?
And what I would submit to you, Mike, also, too, is that, well, you're like, Offset's a star. You wasn't saying that till you heard him on these Metro beats. So the stuff he's been making before this, it ain't been Metro beats, ain't been star stuff. So, no, he's not. Metro's the star.
We talked our shit about the Baby Keem record the other day, but that record that Baby Keem produced for Offset last year, 54321, I like that record.
You like it, but it's not any of these records.
I like that record a lot. I listen to it a lot. I ain't gonna front.
But
there ain't no buts. I listen to it a lot.
Hold on,
Go check it out.
Hold on. Well, how about this?
Panoramic roof, I can see right through it. Smoking on cookie, gas manure. I know the whole song. That song's dope.
Cool, Mike. But here's what I'll tell you. You wasn't calling him no star. Did you call him a star?
Yeah, I've been calling him a star. I've been calling him a star.
Mm-hmm. Let's see how the album sound without the Metro beats.
I think that the best move for both of them would be to work together because Metro needs that one guy that he can make an end-to-end album with. And Offset needs that guy that he can do that with too.
See, Mike, that's what I'm saying. Mike, that's the Migo fan in you that wants Offset to win, and you're not thinking about Metro. Let's go ahead and get into this right now.
CJ,
first of all, Mike, it's not like that with Offset. Let it go.
Really? Okay. What are the people say?
He's good. He's a great guy, I've heard.
So you don't think Offset's a star?
Mike, he's got star quality to him, but Mike, he ain't for Metro. Mike, let's go ahead and get into this. Get to the super chat. Let's go ahead and get into
this. Okay, CJ Kid with the super chat says, are there any classic soundtrack albums? In hip hop, yes. I would say Above the Rim, yeah.
Above the Rim? I'm about to say, we're just talking in general, Waiting to Exhale.
Oh, you talking about in general? No, I'm talking about hip hop. Yeah.
Oh, hip hop?
In general, The Bodyguard, Purple Rain, all that stuff.
Yeah.
CJ Kidd says, going to see George Benson tonight. Look at CJ Kidd getting it in. Jump on one of them Cougars, bro. Michael Williams with the super chat says, I like how Metro threw Nas a beat switch. He must know it's been a good formula for Nas and Hit. Was he responding to Hit saying that he can't do boom bap?
See, I told you.
Charles
I
with the
told you. I
super
felt
chat.
like it was a little, but it was healthy and competitive to do it that way.
It was good. It was good.
It's good.
Charles with the super chat says, Metro is from St. Louis, where I'm from, not the South.
I just said he's from the Lou.
I think he was responding to Mad Max, though. 007 with the 007 with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, as a kid, Babe was the nickname for end lips. You know how kids are when they find something out about you when you want to hold it over their head. Ty Cobb was supposed to be Buck, but Babe was on a hunting trip and said that he didn't buck with the N-word. Interesting. So there's a history with this. Jadarian with the super chat says, Metro's album is a 3.5 to me. Only liked about 7 to 13 of the tracks. 7 out of 13 of the tracks. But I understand giving points for execution of a soundtrack album. Yeah. That's where a lot of the points are coming from.
I thought the songs were pretty dope.
Malika with the super chat says, BP soundtrack washes the Spider-Man mid easily. Talking about the Black Panther. No, we got the Kendrick fan here. Of course you're going to say that. Jay Short with the super chat says, is this a foreshadowing of Nas and Metro project? That would be interesting and give Nas those big records critics say he doesn't have. That would be interesting.
Well, hold on, you got more super chats?
Let's see. I feel like we got that's it.
Okay. So let's first of all, if you didn't know who Nas was, and you were just hearing the soundtrack for the first time, you wouldn't know this dude been rapping for 30 years.
Yeah, he's the best rapper on the album.
But I mean, you wouldn't know it vocally from listening to him and listening to him rap. You would think this is a young dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would think he's 25 to 30, not 50.
I mean, Nas is in a different stratosphere, man. I think we've kind of
somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's that. The beat is wonderful. The beat switch is wonderful. The competitive thing with Hit is wonderful.
Well,
listen to what I'm about to
I want to ask you something after you go ahead.
Well, listen to what I'm about to say. I realized when I listened to this album, I'm not trying to discount or discredit any of the artists, Mike, but there's levels to this shit. And I don't know if people notice this, and this is why I brought up Prince too, because I'm going to bring this back around to him again. And I don't bring him up often, especially when it comes to rap shit. But Mike, you remember when Prince used to just give anybody a record in the late 70s and the early 80s before Purple Rain, Vanity 6, Morris Day, The Time, Shaka Khan? Mike?
Not Shaka Khan, anybody.
Compared to Prince, anybody. Compared to Prince, she's anybody.
No disrespect,
Mike. There's
that's
levels
very disrespectful.
Mike, there's levels to this shit. She's anybody compared to him.
Shaka's a legend.
She's great. I love her. One of the greatest vocalists ever. Love her voice. She's fine as hell, too. Right. She's not Prince. So she anybody. Right. But, Mike, he reached a point where in order to reach his peak level as a songwriter and orchestrator and producer, he had to start channeling in. And he stopped giving shit to people, quite frankly, and working with people that wasn't on his level unless they did it on his terms. And quite frankly, the artists that Metro work with aren't as good as Metro is all time, and it's hurting him all time, if you really want to tell the truth about it. Because here's the reality of the matter. When I listen to him on this album, I do hear the best beat maker in the game, but I hear a guy whose roster doesn't have the depth that match his brilliance as a producer. He doesn't have a Pusha T or a Common or a Jay-Z like Kanye had. He doesn't have a Raekwon, a Ghostface, a Method Man, an Old Dirty Bastard like RZA had. He doesn't have a Snoop, a DOC, a Easy like Dr. Dre had. No, you need those guys. Hit needed that guy. I told you, I didn't even think Hit was top 25 until this Nas run. And it's not because he's fucking with Nas. It's what an artist who brings themes and content and style and character brings out the best in your records. You need it. Mike, we talk all the time about how there's something about Timberland shit when Missy's on it, though.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
No, you're right.
You need that. And here's the reality of the matter, Mike. No, Quavo, Offset, 21, Gunna, Thug, Future and Thug probably be the closest, but still, for who Metro really is, because he is the best of the best. No, Mike, he needs the best of the best.
Who would you like to see him work with? Because Future's like the top of this generation.
Top of his generation, Mike. But this is what I'm about to ask of Metro. You see, I understand the era that Metro's growing up in. He thinks Wayne's the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Mask Off with Future. He's got Bad and Bougie with the Migos. He that dude. I get it. So you've got all the clout. You've got all the bangers. You've got all the clarity. You've got all the money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you've been asking for an Andre 3000 album. And when I heard this album today, I was like, this is the guy that need to do an album for Andre 3000 and let Andre do whatever the fuck he wants, but let Metro put it together. And that's what I want to see happen. I believe. No. Listen to what I'm saying. I believe. And I got a couple other picks too, but my pick after listen to this album today, because what I heard today, I was like, man, if Andre is who I think he is and who everybody else is always saying that he is and getting on me and Mike about, that if you were to give him this soundscape and this landscape to go play on, oh, he'd have a field day, just musically and stylistically. And then we could have some conversation about both of them, because he would be the guy that would provide the depth and the content and the themes, but would still provide the style and the charisma to be able to slide over these beats. But also, too, Mike, Big Boy's still down here. I don't know how you feel about Big Boy's production, but I would love to hear Metro and Big Boy for an album. Mike, I would love to hear T.I. and Metro for an album, but he needs somebody all-time great because he's all-time great.
So
that's
you feel
how this
like
shit goes.
He has to work with somebody from yesteryear to reach an all-time pinnacle, even though he's dominating his era?
I mean, Mike, as far as the project coming together, yes, because it's like, I mean, Mike, where do you think of Savage Mode 1 and 2? You know what I'm saying? And here's the reality of the matter. It's like, did he produce how many tracks did he do on? I
love Savage Mode 1 actually, but
Savage Mode 1 is great. How many tracks did he do on Dirty Sprite? Isn't Dirty Sprite the one he did the most work on?
Yeah, I don't know how many he did off top.
But that's what I mean. He really doesn't have an album to his name that you can go to and be like, oh, shit, remember when Metro did that? I mean, because Savage Mode would probably be the one. Mike, that's not enough to register, like, overall.
And honestly, Savage Mode is considered to be a mixtape. So I feel like in Metro's time, the collaborative tapes that he's done, he's thrived in the mixtape era, right? So his quote-unquote albums, because he's done, 2 albums? The one that he did, Not All Heroes Wear Capes, and the one that he did just last year. I think those are like the
Not All Heroes Wear Capes, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't that the one he did last year? Not All Heroes Wear Capes?
No, that's the one he did in 2018. I feel like those are the ones that, exactly, yeah. And I think this project is him really being a producer and an album making, mode. He hasn't really had the opportunity to actually make a real album for anybody. Like the other collaborative projects that he's done were mixtapes, to be honest.
Savage Mode 2 is a mixtape to you as well? Savage Mode 2 is a mixtape to you as well?
Yeah. I mean, that's what they call it. Now, I mean, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about somebody with the capabilities and the range to be able to give you a full scope and experience. But clearly, I think based on the people that he works with, I think he really connects with his generation. I would like to see him produce a whole album for JID, or somebody like that.
I'll take JID, yes.
Yeah.
I'll take JID.
Because I think that some of those things that you say that, he's missing could be filled in with somebody who's a concept writer Metro, in that
absolutely.
way. Yeah. And I mean, on both
production things. Mike, he's the best producer because he did some production. He's the best beat maker. Not about the drum, the snare to the hi-hat combo. he's the best about the nuances, Mike, that he uses to fill in the track. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he knows when to alter the voice. He knows when to sprinkle in the keys on the drop to make it sound more dramatized and magnetic for the listener. He's much like Dilla, Mike, the nuance.
And that's why I was really excited to hear JID and Offset on a Metro track, because I think this might be the first time I've heard JID over a Metro track. Let me let me know if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat.
I
But
think the JID Metro thing, Mike, is a great idea because I think in JID you have somebody young enough, but also somebody stylistically great enough in terms of themes and concepts. We've seen it with Crack Sandwich and the Sister and Them and Brother and Them.
Exactly.
That he has depth and that he has layers and that he has stories. And production-wise, for what he may lack vocally to some people, somebody like Metro filling those gaps.
And because Nas is an anomaly, right? What him and Hit did is special, and like you said, Nas he has a different life going on now, and he could be locked in. A lot of the MCs from yesteryear just aren't locked in enough. Is their life is different. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if they would be locked in enough to really give Metro their all, so it could be bumped up to the level that it needs to be. And that's why I say somebody of his generation that kind of does some of the things that you're talking about.
Well, here's what I'm saying, Mike. Him and Thug recorded an album together, like in both their primes, quote unquote, that never came out, like around 2015, 2016.
Who's that?
Thug and Metro. They have a whole album together that didn't get released, right?
JID. Yeah.
No. So this is what I'm saying is like, that Thug project that never got released is probably the only thing that I think that he probably produced from end to end, but it never dropped, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm talking about him doing something end to end. I'm talking.
Well,
Mike,
him and Future have done stuff end to end.
Like, I'm talking about doing a moment of truth, Mike. I'm talking about doing a Liquid Swords or a Purple Tape or doing a Chronic or a Doggy Style. It's like, no. Most guys like him have something like that in the can, except Dilla, which is why I compare him to Dilla.
Well, Dilla has that Slum Village album that is, heralded and just has a huge
legacy. And it's big.
How
about this? That's better produced end to end than anything Metro's done end to end.
You know what that You know what Fantastic reminds me of? It reminds me of the makeup of Little Brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for me, I've always, and I say this respectfully because Fonte is a great MC, incredible MC. I've always felt like Ninth Wonder was the star of Little Brother to me. And that's how I felt about, Fantastic. Like, the MCs on there were dope, but it was about Dilla and his production.
Yeah.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says, I'll probably be the only 31-year-old in there. They're trying to appreciate and show love to the other classic artists, not just hip-hop artists. We love that, of course. I think I saw some more super chats. Mad Max.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. What's up? Oh, okay. Mad Max with the super chat says, I like the beats the most, but is it better than the Dreamville? I think the Dreamville had better highs. Metro, go talk to Cole, man. I don't know, man. I think that when we talk about just sticking to a theme, and we mentioned earlier, there was no cursing in this. This is a kid's movie. I think the continuity of them being able to put together a soundtrack that goes scene to scene and it fits with the superhero narrative and stuff that could actually double as film music and stuff that you're going to hear on the radio. I think there are way more bangers on this album than the Dreamville album. I heard like 4 hit records on here, to be perfectly honest with you. So
I heard some great records, Mike. I heard records that are getting played outside the hip hop sphere.
Exactly. Too. Me too. Jay,
a couple of these records, Mike, they for you to, you need to be playing this when your girl hop in the whip, or you need to be taking her out dancing to this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The James Blake stuff is,
the Don Toliver joint, The Home.
Yeah. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, would you guys ever do a top 50 albums of all genres? I remember you guys said Purple Rain is the top 5 and Illmatic's top 40. Oh man, that would take some work. I would like to kind of get a panel together and really talk that one out.
We could. It'd obviously be easier to cover black music because we've been more integrated with that because of how we were raised in the black community.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also what I mean too about substance and style. Mike, what do you think our biggest party era was for music? Because I think it's the '70s.
You said what now? Say that again.
What do you think was our biggest era for party music? Because I think it's the '70s.
Yeah, I think the '70s had everything.
Okay, so just let's just keep it to black music, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, and we just had this conversation the other day. But Mike, if I'm ranking the greatest albums of the '70s, I'm probably going "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye, and then "Songs in the Key of Life" and "Inner Visions" by Stevie Wonder. Mike, those aren't party albums.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm telling you, it's like, well, no, I know who Metro is for the times, and people are like, stay in the times. I'm like, yeah. Do you understand that when you're groundbreaking, that you can stay in the times and still make landmark material that touches people's consciousness, like a "What's Going On," a "Songs in the Key of Life," "Inner Visions"? You get what I'm saying? It's like, I always told you, it's like, Mike, I didn't think Prince was the greatest artist of all time because he made Purple Rain. I thought he was the greatest of all times because he made Sign of the Times. As in, he made an album with a message that was brilliant and stylistically had everything. It wasn't until he like put his message together and song-wise formulated that I thought he was the best.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned message, and I would imagine that somebody that's as musically inclined as Metro listens to everything, and I think that a project like this, I think his project before this is kind of a gateway, but a project like this could possibly change a producer in the sense where he might not want to do all that bang bang shoot 'em up shit moving forward. This is growth. And not to mention, the incredible, terrible loss that he's suffered over the past couple of years. I don't even want to get into that because I don't want to sound like, you're psychoanalyzing somebody where you don't even know what they're going through. But I would imagine that doing something like this for a kid movie and making some dope music at the same time is like, this is refreshing. And moving forward, he probably wants to continue to do things different because it's an artistic challenge in a sense. And so I do believe that he probably will do some of that stuff moving forward because if you talk about bangers for the club and this and that, he's been there, done that. He done made Mask Off, Bad and Bougie, Karate Chop. He's done that for years and years.
He made
so
Mask
now,
Off and Bad and Bougie. He has nothing to prove as far as bangers are concerned.
So now it's
Those
like, let me get on to the next
Mike.
phase. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, let me get to the next phase of my career sonically, and yeah, we might see him hook up with people that do have a message, and he's able to make complete efforts. CJ Kid with the super chat says, "Do you guys talk about City Girls being greater than Black Star?" Yeah, we got that on the menu too. We're gonna talk about that. Also, the final four is Wu versus Good Music and Death Row versus YC&B. Good Music made it very far. Peter Park says the JID and Metro album is coming. Is that confirmed? Because I think that'd be a great move.
That's an album of the year contender.
And I look forward to speaking on it because I kind of just, spoke it out of my ass,
This is what I mean. How about this, Mike? What do you think, even if Metro were to take on like somebody that's been through a lot of tumultuous circumstances, but is a great song maker like an Isaiah Rashad, Mike?
I like Isaiah Rashad, and I love the last album that he made, but I feel like he's more of a mood music guy, too. With JID...
What does Metro make? Mike, what do you think Migos... Mike, you're a Migos fan. What do you think that is exactly?
Migos make bangers, man. Like, it's an energy
mood music, Mike. The Migos are the king of the mood music, Mike. What do you think that is?
Nah, listen, I ain't knocking the mood music, but I mean... I think Isaiah Rashad's production is fine. I'll put it that way. I think his production is fine. LP with the super chat says, "People don't look up at the sky no more." I love it, man. I love it, man. Like Nas, greatest.
The perspective, Mike. He's the greatest of all time.
The perspective, the way he was able to take on this theme, this film, because like you said, I'm sure everybody saw the film and they said, okay, let's write. He saw it and was able to internalize it and regurgitate it in a whole different way than everyone else.
Well, hold on. First of all, he's the greatest of all time. But second of all, Mike, He's a comic book fan as a child.
Yeah.
Used
Most
to
of us
write
creatives
them
are.
and used to write them himself.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what I mean about how, you'd be surprised what's in somebody's wheelhouse, but why are you surprised that anything's in his wheelhouse at this point? He's he's the best MC, Mike, because he's a writer at heart, a writer's writer, as in he can write the comic book, Mike. He can write anything.
Yeah,
so
he's a writer at heart, and I think that he's a flower and all of that stuff secondly. He's a writer first, but I think the most important thing about Nas overall moving forward and how his legacy has grown is that he's continuing to grow as an artist, where everybody in his generation, for the most part, they stopped growing. I mean, I say that respectfully.
They are who you thought they were. Mm-hmm. He's proven to be something different.
Yeah.
He says it in the record, I'm different. I'm like, yeah, you always been different, though.
He is. Jay Short with Super Chat says, not gonna lie, that Black Star debut becoming overrated. It's not even top 10. It's not top 10 at the time, all time in that native tongue / rockish genre. I still listen to the Black Eyed Peas behind the front debut more. I said it. I don't know if I'm gonna give you that. Far, I'm gonna give you that.
But if you're including Common in that native tongue thing, then it's definitely not making the top 10 because the Tribe and the Dayline, the Roots album were enough to keep it out.
Yeah. Yeah, Mad Max of the Super Chat says Metro and Cole might be a combo. If we're talking about message, it would be it would solidify him and Cole. He's in a different realm, and Cole is in a zone. Okay, based on the zone that Cole's in right now, and in the lane that Metro's producing in now, would you like to see that come together? And is that an instant album of the year contender?
How about this, Mike? I can't think of a producer that's this great and an MC that's this great, like literally in the history of the rap, that could stand to get together and make a classic project together more. I can't think of a better combination, actually. Mad Max actually took my last note away about who I think the real person should be to take on the project. Yes, Metro and Cole, that's the project. Now, the person that I'd like to see do it is Metro and Cole, Mike, but the person that needs it the most is Kendrick, and that was my last note. Cole or Kendrick actually is the person. Because think about it. He's been operating in this sphere this whole time without really working with either one of them. And one of them, I feel like, could use them for legacy purposes to catch up to the other person in certain people's minds, and the other person could use him because it looked like he done lost it.
Do you think that Metro even digs them like that? Because why hasn't this happened? You know what I'm saying?
Has somebody that does is a Nas fan, how can you fuck with Nas and not kind of fuck with Cole, even halfway?
Well, like you said, it was very clear.
It's kind of like off the family tree, Mike. It's like you went to the barbecue, you don't like the cousin, though?
Well, it was pretty clear when he made the post about who was going to be on the album that Lil Wayne is his GOAT.
Well, first of all, his name is Wayne. You know that, right? You know Metro's real name is Wayne.
Yeah.
And you know Metro used to want to be a rapper, right?
How old
is Metro? And Metro is about, and Mike, and you know Metro's about 12 years younger than us. Yeah. So let me see a guy named, and Wayne is our age, Mike. So let me see a guy named Wayne that literally was growing up as a teenager during Wayne's prime, wanting to be a rapper and make beats. I don't know. Wayne's probably his guy.
Yeah, I mean,
he's born in 93, Mike. He's born in 93, and his name is Wayne. So think about how old he is in 2006 and 2007 when Wayne is having his run. He is 13 and 14 years old. Of course, Wayne is his guy.
Exactly. And
see, people got to understand why people say something. He's not just saying Wayne because he's saying Wayne. It's like, go look at how old the man is.
That's who we
Go look at what his name is. Go look at the time frame.
Yeah.
Mike, when do all of our favorite MCs grab us? About 12 to 13, 14, 15.
Because that's like
Wayne's
me saying...
run, 05, 06, 07, that's Metro's formative years.
Yeah, that's like me saying at 29, like, yeah, Jay is my guy, not Big Daddy Kane. I didn't grow up on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry. Sorry if I offended anybody. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, Kendrick missed a chance by not being in this soundtrack. Maybe he needs a Metro reboot. Well, Kendrick's not a part of any soundtrack unless he's executive producing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, He's
Hey, real
losing.
talk. See,
He's
this is what I
losing
mean.
points
See,
for not working well with others. But I know that the Kendrick Brigade, whenever we say anything critical of Kendrick, they come in with an onslaught. So I
no,
don't
I
know
was
if they
actually
get
what about to say
alerts.
this about. Hold on, listen what I was about to say. Part of why I'm saying Kendrick is because, well, if this is the rhetoric that you're going to disperse, go get the best beats that you can. That would be Metro. Imagine now. Let's step back and imagine Mr. Morale and the big steppers with some Metro orchestration and
You think
production.
Metro want to make beats to them songs? Like, damn, man, I ain't trying to be
Man,
depressed.
don't nobody like don't
Fuck
nobody want to
that.
make beats to this song, but it's a job that has to be done. But give me Cole.
I think that I think Cole would be
Give me Cole.
nice, but I think that a pairing with JID and Metro, and the reason why I say JID is because I think there are points in their career, or he's at a point in his career where Metro can really, you know, he could really, take point. Whereas with Cole, Cole's the veteran. You know what I'm saying? And he might dip into those things where he feels like, you know what, let me make some things that I've heard Cole do. Whereas with JID, it'd be really fresh, where it's like, boom, we start with a clean slate. And I'm glad that Nas and Hit kind of did that. They went with a clean slate where it was like, okay, I don't care what you did before. I'm not trying to be Premier. He did that with Magic and all that stuff, but ultimately, let's create our own thing. And I'm sure
No,
that Nas came to the table with a lot of that too.
see, this is what I'm saying. No, he did do all the stuff for Nas at the Greats before Nas did. He just did it his way.
Right.
So it's like I think Metro can walk into the studio with Cole and did it his way
But
because
Cole don't have that
not to be
blueprint that Nas got, though. You know what I mean? Because
that's
the
hold on.
issue is he hasn't had that production to even be able to go back and look at.
That's why I would liken. Listen to what I'm about to say. Cole and Metro coming together. I think it would be very much like B, like Common and Ye coming together. And if Cole and Metro come together, I'd pick that as album of the year. Period.
I would like to see it. I would love to see it. I
We
want to
need the
see the
politic. Do we
JID
need the
thing too.
politic for the Cole Metro album? If the Metro JID album is actually happening, I ain't gonna trip
Yeah,
because that means we're gonna get some Cole verses,
yeah. I would like
which
to
means
see
Cole
that.
be around and he might have a couple Metro tracks on his album. Hint, 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 hint.
Have we heard Cole on Metro yet?
I'm not saying that it needs to happen and that the production is what's holding up Cole's
I think more people want to hear.
Metro,
See, Cole's the kind of guy where
Metro and Hit and Alchemist.
Cole's
Hello,
the kind of guy where he has
then
such
call
a
everybody.
strong fan base that if he doesn't hit the nail on what they want from him at the time, then it's not going to get appreciated like that. You know what I'm
Mike,
saying?
I say this respectfully. Them niggas don't know shit. Okay, all right.
But that's
They
his
don't know
fan
shit.
base, though.
They don't know. They don't know shit, Mike. I don't care.
They know what they want from their favorite MC. CJ Kidd with the super chat says to me,
That ain't helping this legacy talk. Damn all that.
CJ Kidd with the
Because
super
if they're real
chat.
fans, they're gonna follow Mike. Mike, I paid to see Graffiti Bridge in the movie theaters. Prince owed me some money. I paid to see Graffiti Bridge. That was worse than the Donda concert.
I mean, they can follow, but doesn't mean they're going to love it. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see.
But I still follow Mike. He made Diamonds and Pearls a year later. I'm glad I stayed around.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says, to me, Black Star and Common are more Soul Aquarians than Native Tongue. With that being said, Black on Both Sides is greater than Black Star and Reflection Eternal. I said it. Wow. I need to go back and listen to Black on Both Sides. I haven't listened to it in a minute. But I've always remembered that I felt like Train of Thought from Reflection Eternal is the best album to come out of that, collective of Mos Def and Talib.
I'm on the Black on Both Sides side.
Okay, most people are. That's why I'm gonna go back and listen to it again. Obviously, Mos Def is the most gifted MC of the two, but from end
not
to
even that,
end,
Mike.
production wise,
Mike, just off Umi Says Mathematics and Mrs. Fat Booty, Mike. I mean, it's.
and I love Brooklyn
I can go to those.
too.
I can go to those three records, and it's like, bow, 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 dead.
I like Brooklyn, not Brooklyn's Finest, Brooklyn as well. You didn't like Move Something and obviously The Blast.
I mean, the blast, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Is it's like over here we have the blast. Over here we have mathematics. Umi says and Miss Fat Booty.
Okay. 007 with the super chat says Kendrick's out of material. Him and Metro is a waste.
Oh well, damn.
Mm.
All right. Tell us how you really
The
feel.
Kendrick fans are gonna kill you, man. But yeah, with all that JID talk and Metro talk, I really like the record with Offset and JID. I think it was to me, I think it's my favorite song on the album. Wouldn't say it's the quote unquote best per se, but it's my favorite song on the album. I think the hit from the album is the first song. That seems like a theme song. That sounds like something that'll be in a trailer. That sounds like something I can hear on the radio as well. Annihilate. I think we got a good 3 or 4 radio songs on here. I think Self Love could be a hit. You know what? I was kind of underwhelmed by. There's 2 people I was underwhelmed by on this project. 2 people that I usually like. One works with Metro all the time, and another one not so much. I was underwhelmed by ASAP's appearances on here, and I like ASAP a lot, a lot. I think he's one of the most understated MCs of his generation. And 21 Savage. I think that what this kind of revealed, because usually when 21 and Metro hook up, it's like, what we saw last year on Metro's album. Like, it's a highlight. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the song? What's the name of the song? Put Your Man Down. You know what I'm talking about? What's the name of that song?
I know what song you're talking about. I just can't think of the name right now.
Yeah, because the name wasn't in the hook or anything. I'm about to look this up because this is killing me. I usually just do this when we're on live. Like if you were asking me in regular conversation, I'd just say, "Oh yeah, walk 'em down."
Down.
Yeah, walk 'em down. But yes, usually it's like that when they connect. And I've said this on this show before. When 21 and Metro get together, 21's rapping different. Now on this, I think because the content's a little bit more, children friendly, for lack of a better term, 21's kind of handicapped with that. And I think that what this has done in this situation is shown some of his shortcomings as an MC. And if Metro continues to go on this path, they may not work together as much. Either that or, 21's going to have to improve some of those things. But it feels like 21's at his best when it's the bang bang shoot 'em up raps. And that's why he didn't sound his best on here. So I was slightly disappointed at how he came across on the records that he's on. Like, it's not whack or anything, but it's not what they usually do. When they connect, they're usually, and I'm not comparing, but they're usually Snoop and Dre, Timbaland, Missy. It's like, okay, 21 and Metro are connecting. These are probably going to be the best songs on the project. You know what I'm saying?
First of all, they're definitely not Snoop and Dre.
Well, I'm not comparing. You know what I'm saying. But
I get what you're saying.
Obviously, they're not Snoop and Dre.
I mean, Mike, this is another discourse that I kind of wanted to have when I was listening to this album that I realized, too, is that when you get some blueprint plans laid out, Mike, it's good to follow them. It helps the culture. It helps steer the course. It has always been baffling to me, Mike, how Outkast and Goody Mob planted a flag down here musically. And I'm saying this respectfully. Well, Goody Mob and Outkast and the Dungeon Family, the first generation, Mike, you would have street records. You would have radio records. You would have records like that everybody can listen to, that like your grandma and your auntie can listen to too. And stylistically, the albums were great too. And quite frankly, and I mean this just about this city, nowhere else, we've been giving all these one-dimensional MCs a pass for way too long, and we know that we are stylistically and creatively more endowed than this. And so, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, we got to stop allowing it to occur. Like, the foundation is here. And this is what I mean foundationally about following blueprint plans. It's like, no, no, no. When Outkast made Southern Playalistic and Goody Mob made Soul Food, boom. Because it's like, well, Mike, when Paid in Full, Illmatic, you know what I'm saying? On the West Coast, straight out of Compton, The Chronic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, no, no. They shape the way that albums get made, and it's just funny to me. This is the only region where our genre-breaking albums, we didn't follow any sort of the motives or the past, and we don't have any trails of our great MCs. Do you understand? None of these niggas sound like Gipp, Andre, Big Boy, or CeeLo. Don't that bother you a little bit sometimes if somebody's raised down
They
here?
didn't grow up listening to those guys.
They did.
No.
Mike, they
how
grew up
old
down
do you
here.
think
That's
21
Mike.
Savage is?
Here you go when you say, Mike.
How old do you
Mike,
think he is?
That's not true, Mike.
How old do you think 21 Savage is?
Mike, he's in his 30s. So, yeah, he did grow up listening to this shit. He from the West Side.
How old was 21 Savage when Southern Playalistic came out?
Mike, that ain't got nothing to do with it.
That's what you mentioned. Like, I mean, because really, Outkast,
Mike,
once again...
No. See, you got to think about the region, Mike. See, you're thinking about it as a whole, and I get what you're thinking, Mike. You know how it is, Mike. Now, if you and me are different because we're Southern cats who, like, went and listened to Paid in Full and went and listened to It Takes a Nation of Millions. But, oh, no, Mike, down here, everybody know Riding Dirty and Coming Out Hard and On Top of the World and Southern Playalistic. Stop giving him a pass because of his age. I know, Mike, 21-year-olds that know the words to these songs that came out when we were teenagers. Stop doing that. It's especially when these niggas is from Atlanta. He know exactly who the fuck Outkast is. He know what all the records and all the songs sound like. What you saying, Mike?
When did he move to Atlanta? Because he's from the UK. I mean, did he move here because he was born in 92, right? And I think
Metro age. Him and Metro the same age. Metro born in 93.
Mm-hmm. I think that your guy, Jeezy,
Future Dungeon family. Don't tell me he don't know.
Again, Future is different. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's family, this and that.
He working around Metro and Future around the same time. He knows, Mike.
But Future doesn't really adapt the Dungeon family, methods and modes. He does his own thing
to make it work. And here's the thing about it. You want to know it? As much as people think Future one-dimensional, he's not.
No, he's not. He's really not. And I'm going to prove that on that station head, too.
Mike, listen to what I'm saying. That's because he's Dungeon family.
Of course. It's in his blood. But
it's in his blood.
But for 21, it's not. I mean, because he's not really born and raised in Atlanta.
Mike,
he made it out of Atlanta.
You giving these dudes a pass.
I'm not giving him a pass. Mike. I'm just giving reality. I'm not giving him a pass.
Mike, that's like saying that like a 33-year-old that grew up in Houston don't know about Scarface's The Diary. That's some bullshit, Mike. Yeah, they do.
I mean, because the reason why it's different...
Like, Sauce know who Scarface is. Sauce Walker in Houston know who Face is. You know what Face catalog will look like.
I understand what you're saying, cool, but let me explain. Can I explain real fast?
So stop saying these niggas don't know who Outkast is.
I never said nobody knew who Outkast...
They listen to this shit all the time. Mike, every time I ride around through the city and play that shit, people literally nod and smile and sing the words no matter the age. They know exactly who they are.
They do know who they are, but just like what we said with Metro, they probably didn't grow up listening to them in their formative years. They can respect it, just like I know who Run DMC is, but I wasn't there when Rockbox hit. I wasn't there when Sucker MCs hit.
You're not from New York, Mike.
I'm just saying, just as a hip-hop fan in general, he's not from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? But I think one of the people that he probably came up listening to was somebody like a Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Jeezy dropped at 05...
He's not even Jeezy.
But I'm just saying, where I'm going with this is the fact that Jeezy's most entertaining material is very out there. What's the word I'm looking for? It's really intensifying the street life, right? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have Jeezy's material. You think Jeezy got a lot of balance?
I think post the Recession album, yes.
I'm talking about when he was at his hottest.
Huh?
When he was at his hottest, you think he has a lot of balance?
Mike, the recession is part of him being at his hottest. He was still at his hottest when the recession came out. It was actually the balance that helped him carry on.
Balance as in, I mean, because for me, when I hear Jeezy and when, the songs that people go crazy for with Jeezy, no pun intended, is when he's really, just talking his street shit. I mean, it's really no get up, get outs that people herald when it comes to Jeezy. It's no cell therapies out there when when it comes to
Oh
people
no, 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 no.
heralding
I'm not
Jeezy.
saying I'm not saying it has to have some socially conscious message, but I'm saying it's like it's diverse, it's agile. I'm not asking you to
Oh.
change the world or heal the world. I'm saying like a lot of these guys are one trick ponies, Mike.
So
They
what
do
what are
one
some of
thing
the
really.
Jeezy records? What are
Mike,
some of the
all I'm
Jeezy
saying is,
records that had the
listen,
streets on fire that you feel had that level of agility?
Ti.
No, like I said, what are the Jeezy records that had the streets on fire that had that level of agility? You feel?
Mike, the record with Akon, Soul Survivor.
Okay.
You don't think that's agile? That's out the jump.
When you get jammed up, don't mention my name. It's still street shit, subject wise.
But how it's being kicked is diverse, is it not?
I think the content's the same. That's
You
the
talking about the
one. That's
content?
the one trick
You
poniness
talking
of it
about the
all.
content being agile, or you talking about the artist being
I'm talking about
agile?
the content.
Oh, I mean, Mike, Mike. There are guys that content-wise that are never agile, but they're agile on record, so they survive.
Let me get to the super chats real quick because I
Like
want to see what the
21's
people
not
think.
that. That's what I'm saying. Like I get what you're saying, but it's like, how about this, Mike? Did 21 have a Soul Survivor like type record? Because that's what I'm talking about.
No.
Jeezy came out the gate making records like that. Then yeah, Mike. Because how about this? Most of 21's records are more like Bang Bang with T.I. and Lil Scrappy on Jeezy's album. No, T.I.
Right.
makes Soul Survivor. He makes Go Crazy. He makes the joint with Manny Fresh. It's like, no, I don't see 21 doing that. So no,
Okay.
he's not as agile as Jeezy, even with the street talk. No.
Right, but I think the street
21
talk.
got clips on a record with him.
I
That's what I'm
think
saying.
that
Like, no, Jeezy will go get top-notch MCs and rap with them too. No, 21 don't do that.
and
Like,
those
no.
records that you mentioned, they were dope records, but they weren't what got people excited in the streets. When they talk about Jeezy having the streets on lock, it was for the records that was, you know what I'm saying, on some bang bang
Mike,
shit.
Mike, everybody usually has the streets on lock because of the street talk.
Mm-hmm.
That usually doesn't sustain itself. You know what usually does sustain itself? Making great records and making great albums. You usually do that by getting agile and getting diversified past what it is that got you there. Because you'll get lost in the shuffle. Mike, I hate bringing this up again. People know how I feel about Mobb Deep. Oh, Mobb Deep's lack of agility and diversity hurt them when the game started changing, did it not?
Oh, it definitely did.
Yeah.
It was over. I feel the same way about Jeezy though. I think that, when you had to
That's
start.
what I'm saying. No. For
Because
Jeezy,
when
I
you
just
look
like
at the difference between Jeezy and Ross is the fact that Ross was able to be a lot more versatile and he lasted longer.
But here's the thing. Ross always made the more quality material because he was
Definitely.
always the better beat picker. That's a quality thing written out. I don't think Jeezy's career died off the way that it did because of lack of agility. It's just the records weren't there anymore. That happens. It wasn't because he wasn't agile and doing different things. It was because the records just weren't hitting the way that they used to. Ross, on the other hand, while Jeezy's losing win, Ross is still making stuff like Santorini Grease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And BMF. CJ Kid with the super chat
BMF,
says,
Jeezy's still around for BMF, but by the time Santorini Grease.
What did Jeezy have to compete with BMF at that time period?
No, I'm saying he's still around, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It's like you're acting like he just like, Mike, you just don't like Jeezy.
No, I just don't think he really lasted past 06. To be perfectly honest. I mean, he had some blips here and there where it was like, like he had the record with It's All There. That record, Seen It All was cool. He had a couple records here and there, but yeah, 05, 06 after that, I mean, decline. CJ Kidd with a super chat says, I just realized the Outkast and Black Star have a similar group dynamic historically. One continued to rap, the other got artistic and said peace for a while. Who continued to rap? Black Star, the group that took a 24-year break? Is that what we're talking about? With one album, and 24 years in, 25 years in now, with 2 albums. That's who continued to rap? Or are we talking about what they did individually? Because Big Boy makes albums too. It's only one person that stopped out of those
I mean,
three.
and Yasin made albums for a long time.
Of course he did. Now I ain't talking about him. I'm talking about 3K. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. J Davis with his $20 super chat showing love. He says, Big Sean and Metro's Double or Nothing is my personal favorite from Metro. They did do that album together. It was a mixtape, but I like that joint. Big Sean also has a full project with Hit Boy. Is he the only rapper to have a full project with both of them? I think he is. I think Big Sean is another understated MC in his generation. And I think we've had Big Sean conversations on this show before. But Big Sean showed a lot of versatility over the years, and his wordplay's there. His punchlines are there. He's kind of a Ludacris of sorts of his generation, I would say. Even in approach. He's not the hitmaker that Ludacris is, but I don't think that Ludacris makes songs with the depth that Sean makes either. So I think they're a balancing act between the two. Gary Pierce with the super chat says, that's the problem. On the Atlanta rapper talk, how haven't you listened to all-time greats regardless of age, region, and time frame? Well, I was going to get to that too. I think that the reason why... Go ahead.
Hold on, Mike, because you're the one that said it. And that's what I'm saying is it's like, no, that's not right, Mike, because you're castigating the region like we don't sit up there and know our own culture, our own music down here. Don't tell me that somebody born in 1993 literally ain't been listening to Outkast and Goody Mob his whole life. He has. If he came down here for any stretch of time, Mike. Yes, he has. Especially if he's ever in the neighborhood. Especially if he's around anybody, Mike, even anybody 5 years older. That's what I'm saying is it's like, no, he in the studio with Metro. He in the studio with Future. You know exactly who these guys are. So Lil Baby.
Again.
So all these guys who so do Gunner, so do Thug.
Can I explain what I was saying? Because I don't want it to be taken out of context, right? Of course he knows who they are. They're Outcasts, right? But I think that once again, and we've spoken about this on this show before, and I say this all the time about T.I. as well. Atlanta, we're so about, or at least we have been over the past 20, 25 years, we're about what's next, what's on right now, and sometimes that stuff that happened in the past gets left there. We're seeing that with T.I. now. Like, T.I. doesn't get heralded in the way that he should, even in this market. And so, when you got people like Future, Thug, you know, those guys are running the game in your generation because 21 came around at 16. It's like you're going to replicate more so that part of Atlanta other than the part of Atlanta from 94. And let's be perfectly honest. The Outkast thing that we're talking about is more of a 94 to 98 thing because Stankonia is something else. Stankonia sounds nothing like Atlanta on any given level. It doesn't. And even if we're talking about Goody, we're talking about Soul Food and Still Standing because World Party's not really in that, right? Because that's not what you want them to replicate, right? I mean, so it is what it is. If they weren't there for it, the influence is a little different. Now, they probably heard their parents playing it or their older cousins playing it.
Okay, let me ask you something, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You have often referenced to me. Like, Mike, how about this? Let me ask you something. How are you aware of Stevie Wonder's album run in the 70s? You weren't alive.
Because.
How'd you become privy to it?
I'm a music listener. What? I'm a music listener.
No. How you know about the run, though? Where'd you get access to the music from? Because you didn't get access to Stevie's music. Like, you gonna tell me that your parents didn't play Stevie Wonder?
Definitely.
And that you weren't familiar with Stevie Wonder?
Definitely.
Prior to? And so it was being introduced to Stevie Wonder by older people that led you to go back when you became older, right?
Yes. But it had its place, too.
So Stevie Wonder's run is before your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're familiar with Stevie's run because somebody introduced you to the music, correct?
Exactly.
That should be happening in Atlanta every day when it comes to Outkast and Goody Mob.
It should.
So that's not valid what you said.
I agree with what you're saying, but the truth of the matter is it's not applied. It's just not. It should.
Hold on.
But it's not.
So listen to what I'm saying. If you want to say it's not applied, that's fine. But let's stop acting like these dudes don't know who these dudes are and what the roots are. If they're ignoring the roots, that's another conversation. But to say that they don't know and they ain't listening to it like that, it's like, no, I know Prince because my mama played Prince. I know Sade because my mama played Sade.
But again, Coop, the thing is,
You
man,
know Stevie because your parents played
I
Stevie.
understand what you're
Stop
saying.
that.
I understand what you're saying. No one said no one didn't know anything. I'm just saying when young people are making music, especially in hip hop, they're not trying to do what the old folks did. They're not
Mike,
trying.
hip hop
They're
is
not.
based on taking the old folk stuff and making it new. That is a lie.
Not from the
James Brown, Mike. James Brown.
and repurposing it and repurposing it. It's not the same
You
thing.
can't repurpose Outkast and Goody Mob in the city of Atlanta.
How so?
I don't know.
How so?
Quality.
And because again,
For
Coop,
one.
you're talking to somebody.
Mike, Sporty Odie Dopalicious isn't some deep record. It's just a dope ass song. They know how to make dope ass songs consistently.
As a person who was in a duo, right, myself, when we got compared to Outkast and we were clearly trying to make music along that path, this is around 2003, 2004-ish. We got no love in the city of Atlanta from any of the people who were playing records. All the way, now the fans liked it, whatever, but you couldn't even get to the fans because the people who were the gatekeepers at the time, they're like, no, this is not what Atlanta sounds like right now. It's what it is. There was no reward for even doing that. So I can't fault a young person that hears what is. Oh, let me finish. I can't fault a young person that sits there and sees what the DJs are playing and sees what the actual strippers are stripping to, and they're making music along those lines and not making the stuff that was 20 years before them. I can't fault that. I get it.
Mike, nobody's faulting them for it. What I'm trying to express to you, the music suffers. The city suffers. The culture suffers. The perception suffers. Somebody like Metro, who was all the time great down here, yeah, his all-time greatness is suffering from it. That's all I'm submitting to you. And from that perspective, musically, no, it doesn't. I don't think it's okay because I know Atlanta musically, stylistically, and creatively to be more than that and better than that. And these guys ain't really been kicking that shit like that lately. It's been a minute, Mike. And none of these guys, really, Mike, that's why I'm saying it's like, well, you're disappointed in 21, Mike, but you were the one that's been saying on this podcast for years that he's the best young rapper out of Atlanta. But now you're sitting up here saying it's like, well, he has no versatility. It's like, but you think he's the best rapper out of Atlanta.
Did I say he's the best?
Hold. Somebody that's coming out of Atlanta. You want 21 to be a representation of an MC in Atlanta? You just called him one-dimensional.
Hold on. Did I say he's the best young rapper out of Atlanta?
Yes, you did. I said I'll take Lil Baby, and you said I'll take 21.
Yeah, between them two.
So you did take him. Yes, you did.
That doesn't. No, between them two, that doesn't mean I'm saying he's the best young rapper out of Atlanta.
Mike, I have you on tape on this show calling him the best young rapper in Atlanta.
I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. Now, yes, I did say I'd take him over Lil Baby, but the best young rapper out of Atlanta, I said maybe he is the best. No, I don't think I even said that.
You said he's the best under 30 rapper when we had the conversation. I said I'll take Lil Baby.
Because JID is out here. Because JID's out here. I wouldn't say that.
Mike, this is before JID was out here. Like that.
I'm going to have to pull up the tape.
You did say that on record. Yes, you did.
Because I clearly knew that he wasn't versatile in that way.
In 2020, Mike, in 2020, when we started this show, I told you Lil Baby was the best young rapper in Atlanta. You told me it was 21.
I said 21's better than Lil Baby. I never really got the Lil Baby.
You said he was the best in Atlanta, Mike, because you never named anybody else. You said 21 is the guy that I would take. You said that multiple times.
Yeah, I would.
But Mike, he's one-dimensional, and now you're telling me that it's like he really not doing well on this album because if it doesn't involve bang, bang, shoot him up, he's not good. It's like that's the guy you said was the best. That's part of the problem.
Well,
because guys like you say guys like that are the best when they need to step their fucking game up.
But
this Lil Baby made the big picture. That's why I picked Lil Baby, because Lil Baby showed the ability to do more than bang, bang, shoot him up, Mike.
I never got the whole Lil Baby thing, but that's just me. I never got it. And bigger picture's cool. Maybe it's the auto tune or something, man. I just never got into it. CJ Kid with the super chat says, are we going to put MF Doom through the list today? Man, I don't know if we're going to have time for that today. We got a few things to get to. They want us to talk about the rapper list, the rap group list and all that. OJ Winston with the super chat says, Coop, You just acknowledged that we are mostly influenced by our favorite artists around the age of 12 to 15. Hence why Gucci and Wayne are Young Thug's influence. Exactly. I agree with that.
Yes. Mike, also too, you want to know what else you do around 13 to 14, 15? You start seeking out the music that you've been listening to when you grow up on. That's when I started listening to Sade on my own, Prince on my own, Michael Jackson on my own. It's the same process. You not only find your music, you also start listening to the music that you were actually raised on independently of the people who raised you as you grow. And if you're anything like me, Mike, I don't know how you got to work and got to school sometimes when you were a kid. It was usually in my mama's car, so I was kind of listening to my mama's shit till I got my own car. I was damn near grown by then.
Again, he's from the UK, and so is his mom. So it's like it might not be the
Listen,
same
I'm sorry.
cultural.
I'm just saying, Mike.
experience.
In 1993, I couldn't play Into the Wu-Tang in my mom's car.
No.
Right. So we listening to.
Yeah,
so we
listen
listening
to
to
what our parents
Love Deluxe by Sade, Mike.
Yeah, we listen to what our parents are listening to. My dad's James Brown's #1 fan, so I grew up on that. Mad Max with the super chat says, "If I know Illmatic, Ready to Die, Life After Death, all the NY90s albums, and I know Paid in Full, Radio, etc. 21 can know Dungeon Family." I mean, listen. In theory, yes. What people don't understand and what we're trying to articulate here, or what I'm trying to articulate here, is no, unfortunately, Atlanta radio and Atlanta clubs don't show the proper respect for the Dungeon family's legacy. It happened, and unfortunately, they moved on. That's why when Big Boy puts out dope projects, nobody in Atlanta radio or no Atlanta DJs support it as they should. It's criminal, but it's the reality. You know what I'm saying? It's different in New York, because I know my trips in New York, they'll play stuff from yesteryear. They'll play Biggie and all that.
But Mike, what I'm trying to tell you is that is your mentality contributing to the problem?
How? I'm just acknowledging that's what it is. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just saying I think that going out there acting like it's not like that is being delusional. Like, it's what it is. You're not gonna go out to the club in Atlanta tonight and hear Witch Doctor Holiday or Backbone 5 Deuce 4 Trey. You should, but you won't. It's the truth.
Okay, so let me ask you something, Mike.
Sure.
What have you done about that if you don't agree with it?
What do you mean? I built according to hip hop, and we have these conversations. It's one of the reasons why according to hip hop even exists, because of that type of stuff.
Exactly. But then you pull up here and tell people that 21's the best rapper out of Atlanta. It's a total contradiction to everything you built.
I didn't say that.
It's a total contradiction to what you built.
I didn't
pull up
say
and say
that.
21's the best rapper in Atlanta. Look at what you
I
did.
did not pull
That's
up.
my whole point.
Because Coop, if that were where I'm thinking, and maybe you took something I said out of context, I would have pulled up on here talking about this soundtrack, or even talking about Metro's album last year, like 21's the best rapper in Atlanta. Listen to Knock 'Em Down or whatever. Nah. He's dope when him and Metro get together, but that's about it. He's better than Lil Baby to me.
Is the best rapper in Atlanta right now. JID is the best rapper in Atlanta right now.
Yeah. And I think that Offset is a star. I think that Offset has the ability to make probably the most heralded rap album in Atlanta right now on a mainstream
You said
level.
heralded, Mike. How about good, Mike? We used to make good
It'll be good. It'll be dope.
Even Lil Jon's rap albums are good, Mike.
Nah, I think Offset's gonna make some dope shit.
No, he's not, Mike.
I like this. I like. You don't like
Mike,
the songs.
It's been over, Mike. Why won't you understand it? This is what I'm
saying. Hold on. You don't like the Offset songs that are on this project?
They're not like that, Mike. I'm sorry.
Really? Why do you think Offset got 3 records on this Metro album? He's on more than anybody.
Mike, where Metro's home at? Who he blow up with? Migos and Future. This is relational, not about quality. I'm sorry.
But he's done albums with 21. 21's on there twice.
Right. Hold on, Mike. The people that he's rocked with got the most airtime. 21 might have been on tour doing stuff with Drake. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Offset being on this record 3 times is not a moniker of quality. It's a moniker of relationship. It's not like that. And without Metro doing a whole Offset album, Mike, it ain't going to be good.
You don't like you don't like Ric Flair Drip? I mean, that's a diamond song.
Mike, how many people on Ric Flair Drip?
It's just Offset. Ain't nobody
That
on
ain't
there.
just Offset on Ric Flair drip. I
Yes,
don't
it
think.
is. It's his solo song. It's a diamond record.
What year is Ric Flair drip, Mike?
2017. But that's
Now,
Offset and
Mike,
Metro.
we gotta be consistent, Mike. We pull up about Kendrick and how Kendrick ain't made nothing classic since 2017. You pulling up with an Offset record from 2017?
But I said I like all of the records that are on here. I'm just
But they're
talking
not,
about.
Mike.
I'm talking about,
Mike.
and I also said I like the record that him and Baby
Mike,
King
you're a Migos fan and you're
produced.
biased and you're wrong. They ain't made no hot shit since Kendrick was making hot shit.
Really?
Mike. They're in the same.
That's
Mike,
Migos, wrong.
Mike,
I disagree.
Mike, get it through your head, Mike.
I disagree.
The Migos have been in the same box that Kendrick been in, Mike. It doesn't pass them
No,
by.
no.
They ain't made nothing hot
on.
in a long time, Mike. You talking about some Ric Flair drip? That's like when the Kendrick fans talk about Damn and we get on
Again,
that.
cool.
You're no
I
different
mentioned
right now.
again.
And you liking these songs don't mean that, Mike.
Cool.
You're a Migos fan. Of course you like these songs.
Again, I mentioned that record because that is Metro and Offset solo records together. That's why I mentioned that.
Offset record for the last 6 years, Mike. Stop that.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, produced by Baby
It's
King.
not hot, Mike. I'm sorry.
Shit
Nobody
was
else
dope.
talk about that record.
And
Mike, that's what I'm trying to tell you, Mike. That's the Migos fan in you talking.
No,
when you're
it's not, because when Culture 3 came out, I was the first one to sat here on this podcast and said it wasn't it. So I'm not just giving points. It's a dope record.
It's not good, Mike. Mike, you look for a reason to like them, though.
I think you just don't like the Migos.
No,
I think that's what it is.
How about this? I like the Migos, but what I like more than I like the Migos is quality music, and they ain't made nothing quality.
You like the rapidy rap stuff. You like the rapidy rap stuff.
Mike, that's not true. I'm a Jeezy fan. Right. I'm the one to be on here talking about Trap or Die 1 or 2. So when you say I like the rapidy rap stuff, then explain the Jeezy love.
Because Jeezy took on an East Coast type of flow, you know, he did.
Jeezy don't have no East Coast.
With the production, he did. Jay Short with
Manny Fresh, Mike. His first single was produced by Manny Fresh,
and that song wasn't that. We know that. Jay Short with the super chat says, "Coop, CeeLo didn't even make Soul Food after Soul Food. Andre graduated and made Hey Y'all. Joking, not joking." So Jay Short brings up a good point. Jay Short brings up a good point. Even the Dungeon Family didn't continue the Dungeon Family sound. And as much as I love Even in Darkness, I wish Even in Darkness could have happened in 97, 98 because it would have sounded totally different. But the Dungeon Family evolved their sound, and that's a good point. How can you expect people to adopt what you did when you didn't continue to adopt what you did?
Now, Mike, I want you to just pause for a second and think about what you've done on this show. You've pulled up multiple times when people have talked about Eminem's record sales and told me that shit don't matter. It's about what the culture says. So when you pulling up talking about some Ric Flair drip being Diamond, Mike, it just don't sit right. You look wrong.
Well, people actually play Ric Flair drip.
Mike,
no. The difference is when I talk about these Eminem records, it's not the number. It's the fact that the number is so big and people don't play these songs in hip hop. He gets played on outlets that don't play hip hop music. I'm not wrong. Ain't nobody out here playing no fucking real Slim Shady.
Mike,
they're not.
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, Mike, and I be outside, and ain't nobody playing Ric Flair drip out here in Atlanta.
Come on.
Tell me when. And Mike, and since you want to talk that, tell me the last time you heard Ric Flair drip being played somewhere where you were out in Atlanta. Since you're gonna play that, that's why I'm saying don't do that, fam, because you and me ain't heard
Ric Flair drip don't be getting played.
We slept out.
Ric Flair drip. You ain't never heard Ric Flair drip out there.
Mike, nobody down here playing no Ric Flair drip, and you know it.
What do the people out there say? CJ Kid with the super chat says,
how about the two niggas that do the podcast in Atlanta? How about what we say?
Listen, I don't be out there like that all the time anymore. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'll be in the club every week.
Mike.
I would like
to.
like to talk about, I would like to talk to the DJs and saying seeing if Ric Flair drip gets played, but we know damn well ain't nobody playing no Eminem shit. Now
Mike,
come on now.
When I went to the Rap Snacks mixer event, they were playing Metro Spider. They were playing 24K Jacket. They weren't playing no damn Ric Flair drip.
Yeah.
Shit old as fuck, Mike.
Exactly.
You just got done saying about this city.
You're proving
we
my
like
point.
What's new and like what's next. You bringing up Ric Flair drip from 6 years ago going diamond. You sound like an Eminem fan.
Cool. The reason why I brought up Ric Flair drip was because I was bringing up a solo Offset record that Metro produced. I just happened to say it was a diamond record to
6 years.
exemplify. No, no, no. Let me finish. To exemplify the fact that they've made a successful record together. I'm not sitting there saying that to validate the record per se, because that record was getting played when it was out. You're
Why you
proving.
say it?
Oh, let me finish.
You did say it to validate
You're
it. That's a
proving
lie.
my point. You're proving my point that Atlanta moves on quickly because we're always coming up with new stuff. So you're saying something from 2017 is old, but you want a 30-year-old to adopt something from 1994? Come on, man.
No, 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 no. I said usually when you have blueprint plans, you follow them. I do not know why this city has not followed them the way other staple regions have. It's okay to have influences of style change stylistically over time in cities. It happens everywhere, but there usually is some sort of cultural fabric musically in every city for every genre of music. And Atlanta lacks that. And these artists and our mentality is part of the reason why.
I
So
think
both
that
things can be true.
I think that I agree to a certain extent. I think what Outkast specifically, I think Outkast's impact is more about putting us on the map. I think musically, they may not have impacted the city in a way that maybe, some of us are fans would like, but we do see that impact when, T.I. came, right? He kind of changed the flow of what was going on. Same thing with Lil Jon when he hit the scene. Same thing with Pastor Troy. And I wouldn't say that they're more impactful than Cass, because Cass went out there and broke the mold and basically put the city on the map. But as far as people following what they did, I could say that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's never really been, it's been a segment of us, and I say us because even me as a creator at the time that tried to follow what Cass was doing sonically. But most people were trying to follow with, we saw the direct correlation when Troy came out, right? People tried to follow that. We saw when Tip came out, he changed the flow of things. We saw when Jeezy came out, people tried to follow that. We saw when Future came out, people followed that. Same thing with Thug. And I think that their impact is more sonic than Cass. And I think a lot of that for Cass is the fact that they kept changing. And they kept changing their sound. They kept evolving their sound, which is incredible for them as individual artists. But a lot of people didn't follow that because when you followed Cass, it was very clear that you were following Cass. You know what I'm saying? And they are ranked so high and held so high, nobody even wants to compete with that because you can't.
Okay, Mike.
I'm saying that from personal experience. CJ Kid with the super chat says, Mob had versatility. They had a song with Mariah Carey, 112, Bounty Killer, Kanye, etc. They definitely came with street subjects, but dipped into other genres.
That was late. It was late. It was too late.
It was forced because they had to. At that
they
time.
had to. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't an organic growth. They were forced into it because the times were changing on them.
Yeah. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Coop, respectively, I don't hear the Soul Food and Akumanai in Future's 21's or Baby's music. So they may know them, but not enough to use them musically.
Okay. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay. I don't think people are hearing me. So you have somebody like how about this, Mike?
You know there's no good next.
There's no Good Kid, Mad City if Eazy-E doesn't make Easy Does It. They both from Compton, okay? Now, stylistically, when you hear Good Kid, Mad City, you can't hear any traces of Easy Does It. Except for the fabric of what Compton artists usually do is paint the scenery of what's going on in Compton. That starts with Easy Does It and Straight Outta Compton. It's something that all the great rappers that have come out of Compton since have done. It doesn't have to sound stylistically or production-wise or even take on the same tone. As a matter of fact, Kendrick's tone is rather toned down compared to Easy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if that's the best example because
Mike,
the executive
Mike,
producer.
I've been trying to talk all show, Mike. Real talk.
I just want to say something real quick.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say I don't know if that's the best example because the executive producer of that album produced Easy Does It. That's all I'm saying.
We're not talking about the production.
Okay.
We're talking about the artists. And
But
I'm
I'm
saying
sure he had him listen to it though. You know what I mean? Because Dre's there.
he might have had him listen to it, but there are no traces of Easy Does It on Good Kid, Mad City. So you don't. So Dre being the producer of both, like, really has no bearing because you can't tell that. It's nothing that you can bear. But there's something about Compton niggas explaining their neighborhood that's always resonated in hip hop culture, right?
Right.
We created something down here that resonated in hip hop culture, and I'm just using Kendrick as an example of people usually follow the blueprint plans, even if the plans are a little bit different because they're going to change and evolve with the times, but it's still the same. Good Kid, Mad City ain't that different from the documentary, ain't that different from The Chronic, ain't that different from Easy Does It, because they talking about the neighborhood and how the neighborhood has influenced them for their generation. You don't hear that from this generation of Atlanta rappers, and that's true, and there's nothing wrong with me saying that.
I think
it's not me.
Go ahead.
No, it's just not true, Mike. They just don't do it. They don't hold on to the fabric of what got us here. They don't.
I think that the way that the music is distributed and the way that it's put out, it lacks somebody like a Dre, right? Or whoever, even when Outkast came up with Organized Noise. You don't have that gatekeeper, and I don't even like to use the term gatekeeper, but that person is going to cultivate the talent, right? In Atlanta, what has happened over the past 10 plus years, somebody can go out there, make a hot song, they can get it to somebody, they can get that shit played, and then it just starts catching fire, and you become an artist before you're even ready to be an artist. And I think that that's not the case in Compton, clearly. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a culture of, okay, if this person's next, we need to get them through the route of these people and get them, in some artist development type of thing.
It's working like that everywhere but here, Mike. I'm just using Compton as a reference. Mike, hold on. Let's not even go to the Chronic. Mike, DJ Quick, born and raised in what?
Compton, yeah.
Somebody just brought up King T and YG in here. Same thing. It's consistent. All of these guys are stylistically different. I haven't even brought up Ice Cube yet, Mike. No, I can go. Mike, you want to go to Texas and find out how many niggas really are aware of UGK and Scarface like that?
But
and
you know
really
who's
do follow the style of music that they make? Like, Mike, Texas' whole sound is UGK.
I agree. Texas whole sound is UGK, and I would say, the screwed and chopped that with the organs that
That's an extension of UGK though.
That Jermaine Dupri record that he produced on Criss Cross's Money Power, not Money Power Respect, Young Rich and Dangerous. Yeah. The Streets Ain't Right. The organs that are on there, that's Texas's whole sound. But you're right, that comes from UGK. What I was going to say, though, is strip clubs, right? I think that the fact that we break records in strip clubs in Atlanta and have been for some time have created a wave where an artist is able to go there, get their records broken without any barriers, and become superstars. Like, the first time I ever heard Jeezy before any of the buzz, before anything, this is when I was in radio, I was at Strokers. And the strippers were telling me, like, yo, man, this nigga Jeezy, he hot. He come in here, he make it rain. And I think that...
hold on, Mike. I'm about to say, I know, too, because I was running around with a lot of people at the time. But Jeezy was coming into the clubs and paying the DJs, paying all the girls. They were spreading the money around. Them niggas were getting to it. Jeezy was in a couple spots where it's like, yeah, Jeezy just bought out the bar. Like, who the fuck is this nigga? And like, it's the second time this thing happened.
I ain't gonna knock the hustle. I never will knock the hustle. But I think that the fact that those barriers became the barrier of entry in Atlanta music, that made it really diluted from a quality standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Because now, if you come in here with a bag of money, you got a song that some chicks will dance to, you can actually make a name for yourself. And it doesn't even matter the quality of it. And not saying that Jeezy is, I guess the proponent of that. He didn't have quality music.
No, he's a poster child, Mike.
Yeah, but he sets a blueprint for that next person who doesn't have that level of balance to be able to make a name for themselves without having to go through some level of development artistically.
Oh, Mike, this is my problem. You understand that Jeezy did start all this in a lot of ways and is the poster guy for it, but you understand the guy right after is Future, right? So it actually got better and more diverse. Yeah. And then after Future, we got Thug. So, like,
Are we skipping Chains? Chainz got some impact too.
Chainz is in there somewhere too.
Yeah.
See, but Chainz got his buzz different. I'm talking about like that strip
Gucci.
club. No, hold on. No. I wouldn't put Chainz in that category because Chainz buzz was a straight up rapping ass buzz. Like people knew Chainz in the street, but Mike, he earned his weight as a rapper different in a way than Future and Jeezy did. Jeezy and Future did pipeline through the strip club circuit, quote unquote, by paying the DJ. I told you,
and
Mike,
Gucci too. Like Gucci and Jeezy are around the same time. I don't want to forget Gucci because he's big.
No, right, Gucci too. Yeah. Like, Mike, I can remember. You remember Buffy the Body? Mm-hmm. Buffy the Body did a bachelor party for one of my guys that was about to get married. Mike, I showed up to the bachelor party just to pick Buffy's brain. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, yo, what I need to do to get my record played? She's like, yo, you're going to have to come in and throw my DJ a stack, Coop. Yep. And then you're going to have to throw me a stack. And then you're going to have to pay my girl $500 when it's her turn. And then you got to lap back around and do it again. And I'm like, Buff, and keep in mind, I'm paying Buffy while I'm getting this information out of her. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? At this private party. I'm like, Buff, I got to spend all this money just to get the record. I was like, and this just to get spins for one night, Buff? She like, yeah, Coop, it's going to cost you about 4-5 racks just to get spins twice in one night at the club. I was like,
now rewind, Coop. Now at that point, your process of creating music is different. You're not sitting here listening to no Spodioti and trying to get some live horns or anything like that. You're trying to make something that's going to be effective and worth your investment. You know what I'm saying?
No, I made a song called Canopy, and I made it to get played in the strip club.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very clear on what I was doing. You understand how the city starts working when you see stuff starts moving. It's like, no, I need to make this type of record and take this record. So I was ready to start taking the record around. She's like, I love the record. She was like, but this is what you're going to have to do. So I was pretty much like, okay, I was like, so I need to spend $5,000 every time I come up. You know what I mean? I just started doing the math of what I was going to need to do to make it work. And I'm thinking like, damn, I'm going to need 50 to 100 G's just to break this record.
And so as you and I were growing up and, you would see Illmatic and, I see like Shadowboxing and Method Man rapping his ass off with the Jizza. Those are the things that inspired us to rhyme. I'm sure people of 21's generation seeing somebody like Jeezy take over like that is something that inspired them to possibly rhyme. You know what I mean?
No, Mike, it inspired me, but it's still quality. Like, no, Mike, I made Canopy literally when I moved back from California because I realized that the pipeline was through the strip clubs now when I moved back from Cali. So I made Canopy about following the pipeline. So Jeezy and Gucci and all them had influenced me too.
Yeah.
But I still made Coop style of strip club record.
But
I still made it quality. I still talk my shit.
But imagine for that young person that didn't have that other foundation that you had before those guys came along, and that's their entry point. You know what I'm saying?
No. I feel you. I'm just saying, like, no. Like, you can do it and keep your integrity. Like, I know how that strip club game goes, Mike. Like, yeah.
AB Studios with the super chat says, anybody ask why Andre 3000 is so stubborn to be around Big Boy? Big Boy seems like he's holding the torch far too long. Andre don't have a body of work like that. Well, to answer that notion, I mean, we talk about it, but I think that the Outkast fans or Andre fans, I mean, they're understandable and as they should be, but they're kind of enablers of that notion. Yeah, clearly, Big Boy's been holding the torch for the group and the collective far too long. And like, dag, meet me in the middle, because at the end of the day, we're both in this group. When you look at the murals that are on the walls in Atlanta, both of them are there, but it seems like only one person acknowledges those things. And that's fine, but the reason why it continues on is because the fans think it's cool. It's fine.
The kids are all right.
Let's see. I think we love Dre so much, nobody wants to say anything. And when I even say anything as a fan, people say I'm hating. How can I hate on somebody?
Worse, Mike, and I'm nicer than you are, in my opinion.
Yeah. How can I be hating on one of my favorite rappers ever? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest. People don't want to be honest with people that they actually love so much. It's incredible.
What? But that's the thing about it, Mike, is that I realize, and this is what I mean, like, especially down in Atlanta, we be like loving our heroes so much, we just let them do whatever. And it's no, but you represent us though. Like you do understand that, right? Do you understand that part of it? That's why I do love Big Boy so much, Mike, because he always represents us right.
Yeah.
It's not even about the music at this point. Like the way Big Boy represents us, is more important or just as important as the music catalog at this point. Mikey, rep us right.
Cool, man. If Big Boy wasn't around here holding the Outcast torch and continuously keeping the
Atlanta,
name
Mike.
alive and keeping Atlanta too, and keeping the Dungeon family name alive, it might have been an afterthought at this point, man. Because, I mean, just like I told you about the Fugees, like the Fugees were huge. And if you told me that the Fugees' legacy 25 years later would have diminished so much, I would have been like, nah. But that's what happens when you're inactive. And that's what happens when nobody holds the torch for something. It's just what it is. Right. And shout out to Big Boy for doing that, because if Big Boy wasn't doing that, there probably wouldn't have been no Outcast night at Brave Stadium, because there would have been nobody there to actually officiate that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Here's what I'm saying, Mike. He's the one that's keeping the brand alive.
He is.
For the other guy to get the credit every time the brand is bought up. That's why it's like, oh no, I'm a rep for him. Because how about this? If it wasn't for Big Boy being around and keeping this brand alive, people wouldn't even be talking about Andre like that, Mike. That's real.
And again,
when Big Boy decides to disappear is when Andre's going to disappear too. Do people understand that?
Exactly. And you know what? And it's Andre's prerogative, because clearly he doesn't care. You know what I mean? It seems like he doesn't care. But at the end of the day, that not caring, it has a cost. You know what I'm saying? Because if it were just him, right? And let's just say Big Boy was acting the same way that Dre was, nobody would be talking about Outkast at all.
Mike, okay, so Nas and Wu-Tang are on tour for the second time together in 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you know how many millions of dollars Andre is costing them as a group? See, he may not care about the money, but this is the thing about a partner. This is the thing about a relationship and about a partnership, though. Well, just because you don't care about the money, well, you made an oath to your partner. You know what I'm saying? Maybe your partner do. Listen to what I'm saying. Not they done lost a few $1 million just in show money, Mike, but somewhere probably in the 40, 50, 60, $70 million range at this point in show money that's been lost.
Yeah.
Mike, hundreds of millions of dollars in merchandise have been lost.
Yep.
Like, because the guys...
Possibly a Vegas run.
Because here's the thing. Because of stylistically of what they do and what they did... Oh, they're different to people. They do expand the hip-hop boundaries. Stankonia is part of that, too. It's like, no, Mike. It's totally different.
Outkast is one of those rare groups that hip-hop has had that would connect with any generation, any genre, such genre bending. So even if they were making stuff or even just doing their old stuff, right now in 2023, they would have an audience. I'm sure they get calls all the time for bookings, and they can't do it because, you know, half of the group doesn't want to do it. Now, I mean, let's look at Method Man, right?
Do you know how much really they would command a show right now, Mike? They could go make They could go make $30 million in like a month. They could literally go demand $1 million a show. They could literally go demand $1 million a show and go make $30 million in the next.
Just with a simple yes. Like, let's look at Wu-Tang.
With a simple yes.
And you just mentioned Wu-Tang. Method Man has a lot of stuff going on. Method Man has a full-time acting role in the Power series. And he still goes out there and reps Wu-Tang, holds the flag. He's a guy, as big as Wu-Tang is, he ain't got to do that. He ain't got to sit there and tell you, you know what, I'm not going to be on this leg of the tour or any. He ain't got to do that. Like, he's Method Man. He's in a whole different group with Redman. He ain't got to be showing that Wu-Tang love the way that he does, but he does it because it's an obligation. It's what got him in the game. It's why he is Method Man.
Now, do you think Nas need to headline a tour in Stockholm a few months before his 50th birthday?
No.
With him he literally says it in Magic, I must be insane giving you bars, running companies. He sits on the board of directors for a lot of stuff people don't know about. He's headlining a tour in Stockholm right now.
He's doing this for the fans.
He's doing this for the fans.
He's doing it for the fans. And then what fans have to understand.
He's doing it for the love.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I love Dre. And I'll always love Dre. He means so much to the city. He means so much to the group and the collective, all that. But the truth of the matter is, Dre don't love the fans like that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. He's just don't.
Hold on. Let me break it down for you. You know who he is in this city, right? Really? Like, because of who he is and his star power, Mike, not to this stature, but he's kind of like our LeBron James in the sense that if he would economically come down here and do things with Big Boy, it
It
could
would
actually
change
change some of the
things.
economics
It would
down here.
change things.
It's like that. I don't
Yeah.
think people understand that. People like need to like. Sometimes we exist in this hip hop sphere, and this is what I mean. It's like according to hip hop is a culture piece too. And some of the things that I'm speaking to about Atlanta in this show is culturally what I see going on. It's like no, that culturally hurts our economy when he chooses not to perform because it's somebody that's from Atlanta, whose main partner is down here in Atlanta with business ventures in Atlanta. There's all types of money and business partnerships and deals and sponsorships and brokerages for black businesses that he could be enabling by showing up and performing for 30 minutes.
Well, the thing is, man, I think he's been getting this love as, well deserved for the past 30 years nonstop. And he doesn't know what it feels like for it to be cut off. You know what I'm saying? And so this
No, I understand
love,
that
he
part of
takes
it.
this love for granted. You know what I'm saying? And the love that the fans give, as we should, it's been taken for granted. And it's like it's nothing given back. And shout out to Big Boy for giving the love back. It clearly feels like Big Boy appreciates the love
No,
because
no,
we
no.
appreciate him.
Mike, I don't want to say that because when you see Andre live, no, he's always going to give you the love.
He's a
And
great
so saying that
guy.
he
No, I
doesn't
ain't
love
saying
you,
that. I'm just
it's
saying collectively. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't saying that he's a jerk in person. He's a great guy.
Right.
But,
He is.
yeah, it's like, but as far as like, have you ever seen him take a picture in front of the mural?
No, but I have seen him take pictures with people in front of me before.
Of
Just never
course.
me
Of
because I'm not
course.
that guy.
Of course.
But I see Big Boy do the same thing. They're the same person in that regard, Mike. If you run into them and meet them in person, and I've seen them do it multiple times on separate occasions, separate of each other every time, because I've never seen them together except for no, he wasn't even at the birthday party. Yeah, I've never seen them together. Outside of being like seeing them on stage together, but
Right.
they're some of the most personable, nice people. Will take pictures with everybody within reason and earshot. All that. Both of them. Yeah.
Let me get to these super chats because people done stopped super chatting since we've been running. Mad Max with the super chat says, "Ain't JID a Andre 3000 fan? I know he's younger than 21. Mike, stop. A Boogie fan recite. He said a Boogie fan recites Nas. I can. Why giving 21 a pass? Okay. Well, 21's from the UK. I guess that's why I'm giving him somewhat of a pass. I don't think his roots are in Atlanta like a Quavo or something. You know what I mean? Gary Pierce with the super chat says, most of the current ish sucks. Study the greats, repeat and go. These current records won't get played in 20 years, but the old records will keep getting played. I think Atlanta's learning that.
I mean, how about this, Mike? How many Future records are even getting burned like that for who Future's been in this city? Because he's really been the best and the best one at it. And Mike, outside of Mask Off and March Madness, you don't even hear Future like that unless it's on a hook.
You don't hear racks like that. But I'll hear it at the same damn time. Maybe Tony Montana or something like that. But but yeah, he's an anomaly still. Got that station head coming up. I don't want to give away too much. Christopher Hogan with the super chat says, "Nah, Mike, Jeezy got more love than Ross. I went to a concert in Houston. Both was on the booking. He performed better than Ross too." Okay. LP with the super chat says, "Facts, Coop. At 13, I was on Tribe just as much as X." Okay. And he's the same age as 21 Savage, I believe. LP. No, I'm thinking about CJ Kidd, not LP. Let's see.
Yeah, I think LP is might be a little older than us actually.
LP with a super chat says ATL's sound is more 3-6 Mafia than Dungeon Family. And 3-6 Mafia is a huge influence on Atlanta via Lil Jon. And I think Atlanta's soundscape wise is more Lil Jon than it is Dungeon Family.
I think Charlotte soundscape is more 3-6 Mafia than it is ATL.
And again, I don't want to leave Big Oomp out of that too, because Big Oomp was really big from a local standpoint, and Big Oomp and Lil Jon sonically were the soundscape of where Atlanta was going. And that's why on that Dungeon Family album, because I think it was DJ Jelly that said something, I guess that Rico Wade was responding to on the song Emergency, where he said, "They say this ain't the Atlanta style. We put the A-Town on the map." you know? So there was that kind of talk going on even in 2001 with the fact that the soundscape of the city was going more towards the crunk stuff than it was what, the dungeon was doing. But I think we all looked at the dungeon, and no pun intended, as aliens, man. Like, we knew they were here, they represented us, but they were taking shit somewhere else, man. They were on some psychedelic shit.
What was wrong with that? That's what
There's
I'm
nothing
saying.
wrong with that. But, a lot of people can't repeat that. It's intimidating. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to... Because even when we look at Earth Gang, as dope as Earth Gang are, people look at them as like they're copying Cass and them. Same thing with Crit. When Crit went out there and was showing his open influences, it's like, yeah, I'd rather listen to Pimp C. Or
No, I get that.
MJG.
I'm not saying that you have to make the same sound of music. That's not the expectation that I'm having. I am talking about the musical agility and diversity being shown. And however you want to express that. But it is becoming something to highlight, Mike, as somebody that's from down here like you, that we got a lot of guys that's just not agile and diverse. And it's something that we're known for musically with our artistry.
We never checked
it.
We never checked it until it got out of control.
That's what I'm trying to say. We didn't check it till it went too far, because you have to understand that same era that you're talking about, where all this started, T.I. came up in that era, Mike. He's our most versatile MC, so don't tell me that it can't be done. Well, when all this stuff started to change, T.I. is the one that rose and shone above the rest. And you want to know why he rose and shone above the rest, Mike?
Because he was the best.
He was the best, Mike, but you want to know what made him the best? He was the most agile. He more agile than Killer Mike. Than Bone Crusher, than Yin Yang, than Young Bloods. It was the agility.
And I would love to interview T.I. because I have a lot of questions that have never really been asked. I feel like, I look at T.I., especially during that time period, he's kind of like a Kobe Bryant in 96, and I don't want to say 96, like Kobe in 08, but he had been around since 96. Like, T.I.'s from a different school of thought. Like, we didn't see him, the masses didn't see him till maybe 2001, 2002-ish, but this is a guy who had really been around since 94. It was really around actively trying to make it even as a kid. So he kind of comes from a different school of thought. I remember feeling like, that's going to sound funny now, I blamed Goody Mob for making World Party at the time in 1999 and leaving the door open for Pastor Troy to change everything. And when No More Playing GA hit, everything changed. Everything in this city changed. And I feel like World Party, even though World Party sounds better to me now than it did in 99, I feel like it left the door open for that. And unfortunately, the dungeon never really got it back after that. You know what I'm saying? As far as like having the radio here, having the DJs here. Because we saw Backbone make Concrete Law, which was brilliant, and nobody played it other than Five Deuce for a Trey.
And this is what I mean. You're right. Mike, remember Purple Ribbon All-Stars? Remember Kryptonite?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That was them adapting, though.
Right. No, Mike, that's what I'm saying. They adapted well. Listen to what I'm saying. I feel like the scene down here changing is what forced Killer Mike to start going to do Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't working for him down here.
Again, yeah, exactly. And I say, again, me as an artist in a group at that time, I saw it firsthand. I could see what Killer Mike was probably doing. Like, look, they're not going to play me here. Let me hook up with LP and we do festivals.
No, it's part of why I didn't mind going to Cali, Mike. It's like, well, I'd be spitting that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let me go somewhere where it's like they at least like to hear real shit. Because it's like it got to a point down here where it seemed like people didn't want to, like, this is what I mean. I think people think Outkast and Goody Mob are more conscious than they are, Mike.
Exactly. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, there's a lot of street talk that's going on.
Especially with Goody Mob.
Especially with Goody Mob that goes like unheralded, and it seems like it was almost like, you know what, I like them. It's like they were street dudes, but you could tell they were still like church going guys that like love their mamas. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And somewhere around the way, like down here, that stopped being cool, and everybody like had to be some big dope boy hustler making it rain at the strip club.
Again, and strip club culture.
It used to like, Gip was the coolest motherfucker I ever met, Mike. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
To this day.
To this day, no, Gip was the coolest motherfucker I ever met when I was in my 20s, Mike, down here. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
And cool, and I'm sure Gip could even help us with this conversation because he has a real timeline and acknowledges all those things. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
CJ Kid with the super chat says, "I'm at the concert and I'm feeling it. I feel like I don't belong here, and I feel like I don't belong here. I feel like me at a Rakim concert I went to like back in the day. I was clearly the youngest person there. That was like what I might have went to a Rakim concert in my 20s. It was nothing but people like in their 40s and 50s up in there. I was
CJ
like,
Kid, remember this? Remember this, CJ? Shoot or shoot. Go ahead and bag something, play. Go ahead and shoot.
oh
Go ahead and
no, man,
shoot.
CJ is gonna be getting it in tonight.
Go ahead and shoot.
What at the El DeBarge
What, can I buy
concert?
you a little Pinot Noir? Make you a star, baby?
Well, you know what? To kind of stay on that subject, right? Did you see this whole discussion where this rapper Callie, she's from Roswell, Georgia. She has a song called Area Codes, and she says she's never heard Ludacris's Area Codes. She says never heard Ludacris song Area Codes, despite having a song the same name and being from Georgia. She told Complex, when I hear people saying, "Oh, this is Ludacris homage," I'm like, okay, but I really didn't know anything about it. And I thought that was interesting because we talk about on this show, the city and Ludacris's music. She's 22 years old, by the way. Do you think she should know area codes?
No, Mike, I want to ask you, do you think she should know area codes or not?
Area codes got played a lot, but again, this kind of gets back to that conversation we were having.
It does. What say you,
the
though?
parents don't play you when you're young. You're hearing what your parents are playing. Now, I think that it is interesting to know that she, has a what is she? Panamanian. She has a Panamanian background. So maybe her parents weren't playing hip hop like that. And maybe by the time she was growing up, area codes was so buried in the rotation that it never came up. There's a lot to unpack here. There's the whole notion that maybe there's a generation that only knows Ludacris as an actor.
No, that's not it, Mike.
You don't think that's it? What do you think it is?
It's this city again, Mike. It's everything that I just spoke to. And this is what I mean. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. This is a little plug talk right quick, Mike. I be talking to the plug. We be talking,
Okay.
Off record about a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation discourse may go somewhere. Let me tell you somewhere where it went late last year. Plug and I had a conversation about Me and My Bitch by Biggie.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't alive when the record got made, Mike. She wasn't even alive when the record got made. Matter of fact, she about 6, 7 years, 8 years from being born when the record got made. Could break down the full discourse of the song with no hesitation, even down to the whistles at the end that made it classic. Okay? But culturally, because she's from Queens, she's raised in New York in the Mecca. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, she's taught you need to know you're big and not just to hit records. So she knows Me and My Bitch the way everybody knows One More Chance remix because that's how they roll in New York. And Mike, that's how they roll in Compton. That's how they roll in Chicago. That's how they roll in Texas. We the only big major market down here faking and fraudulent with it like this.
Why do you think it's like
the problem? It's culturally how we have allowed people to come down here, mostly our artists, and do and say whatever and not hold them to any sort of cultural relevance and moniker by letting them know, no, this is Outcast Town, this Goody Town, this Tip Town, this Luda Town, this Jeezy Town. So you're not going to do that down here. This Jermaine Dupri Town.
Right.
No, we ain't never did that.
Right.
That's why the plug ain't even 25, but know every nuance to Me and My Bitch. But somebody like this young lady don't know area codes and she biting the whole damn song. That's Atlanta's fault, Mike. That ain't hers.
I agree with you. Now that we can agree on. And New York does an incredible job of holding up Biggie's legacy. You and I had a whole conversation about what Clark Kent said, and this, that, and even though I totally disagree with everything Clark Kent says, once again, though, that's New York holding their legends up, even if they are skewed in their viewpoint. sometimes. At least they're holding up the legends and speaking about them and making sure on every Biggie anniversary, things are acknowledged. Atlanta doesn't do that at all. Now, let me ask you this. Big Boy does what he can. Do you think some of this is on 3000 because, like you said, if he were here, that changes everything for the city? Do you think that his absence has anything to do with the history being overlooked?
Oh, you mean the greatest MC that ever walked around this city, not holding this city down, has something to do with this city not being held down, hip hop and musically? Yes, he has something to do with it. He's our best and our brightest. When your best and brightest don't hold you down, Mike, this is like, people need to understand that it's like, and I'm going to keep on bringing it up so people understand it. It's like the art of war got written for a reason, because everything really is like territorial and demographic to a degree. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, in this territory and land of ours, when your best and brightest don't hold you down, Mike, in any other sort of faction of life, it leaves you susceptible to be taken over by other factions, does it not?
Yeah.
You're only as good as the head, right?
Yep.
Isn't he our best MC bar none? Like, really, like, all things being considered, he our best MC bar none, right?
I think so. From a bar
Let's
for
just call it
bar.
what it is, Mike. He
Bar
the
for
best.
bar. Bar for bar,
he's
he
the
is.
best.
I don't want to be a hypocrite here. I think that, you know what I'm saying, with no solo material, it's tough to say that over somebody like Tip. But bar for bar, if you give me one verse from one person in this city, I'll tell you that he can give you
How
the
about
best
this?
verse.
Tip, because of his catalog, is the only person that even really deserves to even feel some type of way if we say that. Like,
Yeah.
really, because Andre is truly that nice on the mic. Yeah, Mike. I mean, and this is what I mean. So let's go back about it. What Scarface talking about on every album? Houston, PA.
Mm-hmm.
Nas still talking about Queensbridge.
Yep. Represent.
Biggie when he was here. BK, the Tupac
Jay.
interview.
Jay's
West
always
Coast,
talking about Brooklyn. Jay is at the top of the game.
Brooklyn is the topic for
Jay
Jay.
is at the top of the food chain, and he's still talking about Brooklyn.
Common and Kanye, what they talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Chi-Town.
Even when Kanye left Chicago.
Game.
Yeah.
YG.
Dr. Dre.
Dr.
These are people at the top of the food chain. Yeah.
So, yeah, Mike, if you look at where there's strength because the strongest exercise their strength. Our strongest person never exercised his strength. Like, and not in the street gangster type of way, but just in the being here and being that nigga kind of way.
Being present.
All he had to do was be present. Mike, all he had to do was come to class.
Yeah.
All he had to do was show up. Big Boy already sitting in class. So is T.I. and Jeezy and Luda and everybody else. We just missing the biggest star in the class. Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah. Because
your best rapper don't want to rap though, Coop.
Because
Your best rapper
anytime
don't want to rap, Coop. How y'all a rap? How y'all a rap town? Your best rapper don't want to rap, nigga.
Because even anytime that Dre comes around Jeezy did a song with him, right? Same thing with T.I. Did a song with him. No one's ever like, yo, man, I don't want to do no song with Dre. It's open arms. So maybe that has something to do with it.
I realized that something had happened, Mike, and I was upset about it, but I really didn't understand it. Remember when Thug made the comment to T.I.? He's like, I don't know Dre's records like that.
Yeah.
He was saying, I don't know Dre like that. Like, Dre ain't been in the city to keep these records alive. Like, he's telling Tip, like, I know you because you've been down here with me to help keep your records before me alive. I know who you are. He like, I don't know who he is because he's not really here to keep it alive for me.
Well, what Thug said, and I quote it, and T.I. cut him off because, you know, T.I.'s respectful to our legends. Thug was like, he said, Dre wants you to kiss his ass, basically. And I guess in his experience and the way that he's been able to collaborate with some of our greats, it's been it hadn't been like pulling teeth. But when it came to Dre, he wasn't able to reach out to him directly like he's been able to do with some of the other Atlanta artists. And it was, in his perspective, he said he had to talk to an assistant, talk to this person, big runaround type of thing. And so when that happens, and I'll say Snoop is great with this. Snoop embraces the new era and embraces all the young guys that are coming up in the West Coast, period. You ain't even got to be from Long Beach. He'll work with you. But when you do those type of things to the next coming generation who are out here getting the buzz, doing their thing, yeah, it leaves a sour taste in their mouth.
Well, see, but this is what I'm saying. But because Thug is down here and Thug be out and about, So now Thug get to say outside, be like, yeah. Be like, no. I tried to work with Dre. It didn't happen. And then he start breaking down, Mike, that word travels. Okay. And when you're not here to refute any of that, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you can say, oh, well, no, that was just misunderstanding, brother. And you can come up over here at such and come talk to me.
Yeah.
So we can get this worked out. But you can't get it worked out because it's like, where was he? He was seen playing a flute in China or Japan. I'm serious. I'm not being joking. Like the last time we saw him, he was seen like overseas playing a flute, right? Wasn't it China or Japan?
It was Japan. Yeah.
It was in Japan playing the flute. So when Thug is sitting in the city talking about you, this is what I'm saying. Well, you're not even here to come have a conversation with him to make that right. And so that the younger generation does like, oh, damn, Dre is cool. You want to know what? Put that Southern Playalistic back on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No, you need that.
And I think what certain people don't understand in hip hop, you have to be able to be present to keep your classic material going. Biggie not here to continue the legacy of Ready to Die, Life After Death, but a whole bunch of other people are, and they're doing it. You know what I mean? And Jay has always done a great job of keeping the legacy of Reasonable Doubt alive. He's done that. He did that. That wasn't the people. The people did some of it, but Jay bigged up Reasonable Doubt and kept Reasonable Doubt to be important in this culture. He did that. You have to do that.
Doubt, classic, shoulda went triple. How the blueprint ends. Because he knew he was at his peak. He's like, no, I'm going to tell you about my best piece of work.
Exactly. Big Boy did that too. You know what I'm saying? When Outkast starts selling more records, Southern Playlist is a motherfucking classic. You have to do these things. You have to be your biggest cheerleader.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why Big Boy is I got to hit the source. I need my other half a mic.
Yeah.
Southern Playalistic Cadillac music was a classic. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Christopher Holden with the super chat says, 21 said that he grew up on Project Pat, BG, and Gucci. I can see that. I can definitely see that. But we got some more super chats. I got to get to them. I think we're really behind. Okay, Mad Max says, that's crazy because there's a female rapper from BK who made a drill version of Move Bitch by Ludacris. Retire NY Bias. We show you your legends love more than you do. Okay. The new generation definitely does.
They're trying to say the young lady's not from here, but where she live right now, Mike?
Well, she's Roswell, Georgia. Dominican.
Oh, in Roswell. She didn't get to Roswell, Georgia 6 months ago, Mike.
Right. But I'm talking about, when you said earlier, and you're right, you listen to what your parents listen to. So if she's Caribbean, right, and she's growing up, her parents might not have been riding around listening to Ludacris. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
No, that's fair, but now you're in Atlanta and you're in the music business. This is what I'm saying about us giving a pass. And I don't know if it's the producers or the engineers down here, if everybody's just trying so hard to make it. But it's like, oh, no, you're down here, you're a young artist. It's like, no, you need to know who Outkast is. You need to know who Goody Mob is. You need to know who T.I. is. You need to know P.A. You need to know Dungeon Fam. Yes, you do.
Dominican 19.
And shame on the producers and the engineers if this young lady didn't know for not educating and informing her. I actually bring the producers and the engineers. Don't tell me them niggas didn't know. I ain't trying to hear that. That's the shit I'm really not trying to hear.
Dominican 1923 says, she's Afro-Latina, Panamanian. Area Codes is a big song, but I can believe that believe her. Maybe she just don't know the song.
Half of damn New York is Panamanian, Trinidadian, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, Afro-Latino, Puerto Rican, and we ain't never gave none of them a pass.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says 3,000 is the reason for everything good or bad.
That's like saying, well, although Fat Joe is from the Bronx, he's really Puerto Rican, so he don't need to know KRS-One's Love Gonna Get You. What the fuck are we doing?
Well, if he didn't, then,
I'm pretty certain he did, Mike. He's from the Bronx.
Right. Jay Short with the super chat says, I feel hip-hop is one-sided, neglectful relationship with Dre, Kendrick, Lauren, and Mos. We need to let go when folks don't want us. I knew Jay Short was going to come from that perspective. He's right. I mean, if you feel like you're, not a rapper or, or growing out of hip-hop, and don't care about your legacy, because I love Lauren. I think she's incredibly talented. Obviously, she's one of one. But does she keep the Fuji legacy going?
I mean, as a Wycliffe.
But I mean, they still no. Let's not act like they haven't tried to reunite. They haven't performed together. They performed together like just a year or two ago.
Mm. Well,
So I mean, they're on
we all
speaking
know, Mike. We know why she don't really support the brand, though. We
Jay
was there.
Short.
You know why she don't support the brand.
I mean, it is what it
That ain't
is.
happening,
But
Mike.
is the legacy more important though?
Hell hath no fury like a woman. What, Mike?
That doesn't make it right. Jay
Shit.
Short.
Tell that to every scorned woman out here, especially getting
Right.
scorned publicly. Oh, hell to the no, she's not supporting that brand no more.
Jay Short with the super chat says Axl Rose left Guns N' Roses to make a solo album that took 10 years. Rock critics and fans blasted him, but hip hop fans beg artists who quit. Quit is a big term. Would you? I don't even want to go there.
Quit is a strong word. I know what he's talking about the 10-year Axl project. Yeah. I mean, first of all, not a lot of Axl Roses like walking around in hip hop for their time and their era. But part of the reason why he was criticized, Mike, was because he was revered. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes with it. Like, people need to stop acting. This is what I mean. I don't know what's happened, but it's almost like it's gotten to the point where because these guys have been great, that they're like above critique. It's like, that's not true. They're a human being. And just because the discourse has critiques doesn't mean that I don't think that they're brilliant artists.
Of course.
It doesn't mean that I think that they're bad people.
Of course.
It just means that there are some things that I see from my perspective that maybe could have improved the situation. Like when I go to sleep at night, Mike, as a proud ATL resident, I don't lose no real sleep over the fact Andre don't rep us the way that I felt like maybe he should once upon a time. But if you ask me about it, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. You understand?
Exactly.
And I'm going to tell you my honest truth and my honest take on it. My honest take on it is that shit hurt the city. Because it did.
Well, look.
Why can't we just be adults and understand that these people come with cracks and come with flaws? And he might be the greatest MC that ever came out of this city, but he also did this city a disservice by not repping consistently.
And he also has his,
be true.
And he also has his individual life. And honestly, as a grown man,
that don't make him a bad person.
No,
Mike.
I'm just saying, as a grown man, he doesn't owe us anything. But
no,
all I'm saying and all I've been saying since we've done this podcast is, if that's your choice and that's what you want to do, fine. We're going to grade you on that scale when we're talking all-time stuff. We're not going to act like that's not a factor. You know what I'm saying?
But here is the thing, though. And I've said this about artists because, I mean, Mike, I've been super, super fortunate. I know people joke in the chat all the time about the stories that I tell. Mike, I don't know anybody that's more famous people like in entertainment, sports, music, like just arbitrarily through like life than me. I got so many stories. It's ridiculous. Most of these people are not nice people, Mike. I'm just being honest with you. Like, most of these people are not good people. Andre is one of the good ones that I have met. I can't let who he is as a person change the discourse of what the perspective and what the analysis is. And the fact of the matter is that this country too damn soft, people too damn emotional, and you're not allowed to criticize anybody anymore or challenge anybody's train of thought. And it's part of why this country's so goddamn weak right now. You used to be able to challenge another person's ideals and way of thinking, and you all could still be able to shake hands at the end of the day as a man or a woman and walk away respectfully. It's like now, when you have a dissenting or differentiating opinion, it's like, oh, you don't know shit and you crazy and you just hating or let that man live or be happy for him. No. How about that nigga should have made a solo rap album when Atlanta needed him, because as a fan, we put him up in that position to be able to go play a flute in Japan, and all we wanted back was a motherfucking solo album, and we ain't get it.
And right. You know, for me, as somebody who's defended that notion of him not having a solo album for years and years, as an Outkast fan, I have to come to the realization that he just ain't got it in him. It just is what it is, and that's fine.
Right.
He just ain't got it in him. I mean, how could I say anything different?
But when you say that, Mike, you a hater.
Yeah, he just ain't got it in him.
You're devaluing his greatness. It's like, no, the nigga ain't made no solo rap album. We don't think he has it in him, because if he did, Mike, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. What, you don't...
Isn't this how he made his living? Mike, I'll never forget. You want to know when I realized that they weren't going to rap again? When about 2 years and went by on Stankonia, Mike, and I hadn't heard any buzz because they drop every two and a half.
Oh yeah.
So by the time 2002 rolling around, Mike, I'm not seeing no Outkast album. I pulled up their Forbes, Mike, to see what they were worth. You know what I'm saying? They're my favorite group, them and Wu-Tang, so follow them in everything that they do. And I've always been the type of hip-hop head that studies everything down to the money that the artists are making.
Pocket watching, pay attention.
Yeah, pocket watching, Mike, straight up and down. Now, Mike, I'm just going to tell you like this. Southern Playalistic, ATLians, Aquemini, they making money, but they not, you know what I mean? Oh, Mike, after Stankonia, can you say both of them worth over $45 million a piece, respectively? If you looked at what they was worth through those first three albums, then looked at what happened after Stankonia, I was like, yeah, this nigga is sitting up here talking about he want to sing on the next album. I was like, it's a lot of money.
Well, Dre has always expressed
it's a lot of money for some dudes from East Point and the SWAT. You know what I'm saying? $50 million. I'm like, I was like, I don't know if I'm getting another.
Well, Dre has always expressed too that from his
so understand.
Oh shit! What happened?
Hold on. All I'm trying to say is that, oh no, he was down to rap. He was down for this music thing. And then $50 million got in the bank and all of a sudden it started dying. Like, now I'm just calling a spade a spade. It's like, am I a hater for calling it like that? Because that's what it looks like happened. It looks like when he got financially secure beyond his wildest dreams, that he lost a lot of love and lust for music. Well, Mike, that's why I have somebody like Nas so high, because Nas, when he got to $50 million, kept on rapping his ass off. So no, I can't sit you next to him and say that you're the greatest when he was in the same situation. He's made about 8 or 9 albums since then. We still waiting on your first solo album. It looks like you, not saying you did take the money and run, but has a fan that never got a solo album out of you, that couldn't even get you to rap after the 4th album and really couldn't get you to rap on the 4th album regularly. It looks like when you got money, you got Ghost on Us. And we knock people in our community when they do that, Mike.
We couldn't even get you to rap on the Dungeon Family album, right? I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
One rap verse,
but all that's coinciding with the bag. And so, like, when people are acting like y'all coming down on them, I'm like, nah, I remember how it went down and what I seen when Outkast wasn't making $20-30 million off an album and off merch and off of worldwide tours. That nigga was down to rap his ass off, Mike.
Listen, I may have told this
story. I'm keeping in mind, he from Atlanta, Mike. You know how we are about money.
I'm sure I've told this story on this show before, but I remember when Even in Darkness, the Dungeon Family compilation album, was coming out, and they were doing promo for it, and they were on Greg Street's show. And Greg Street, mind you, here in Atlanta, he was the first guy to really play Outkast records. He was breaking their records. He would play their whole albums before they came out. Officially, and I remember Greg Street had all of them in the studio. He played Thought Process, and Dre's verse came up, and Greg Street, as a fan, was like, yo man, rap that real quick. And Dre's like, you know the verse. And I'm like, damn, it's like that. So that's the moment where I kind of was like, yeah, things are different, man.
I remember.
I was like, that's kind of whack to do Greg like that, man.
I remember the ATL, Mike. I remember when Greg Street played ATLians and he was interviewing them, and Big Boy was doing all the talking. And Dre said like 2 words the whole interview, because that's when Big Boy was like, because Greg was like, yo, he's like, this one got 14, 15 tracks. He's like, did y'all record any other songs? And Big Boy was like, yeah, we got 30 songs. That we record. I was like, these niggas did 30 songs for ATL. I was like, where the other songs at?
Right, where the other songs at? I know Dre's also expressed the whole
interview, so it was always something even early on with it, Mike. But it's like,
yeah, that's when it hit a full head. And I do know Dre has also expressed the fact that he felt like they were always making music when they were the underdogs, and after Stankonia, they were no longer the underdogs, and he found it was trouble. It was tough for him to find inspiration being in an upward position. And again, that's why when I think of people like you said, like Nas or like Jay or Big, these guys are at the top of their game, making their best stuff pop. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't freeze up when you get to the championship game. And if you do, we got to put that in context. We got, you know what I'm saying?
You want to know? You know what he's essentially saying that he is? He's pretty much saying he's James Harden.
Yeah, it's like when we're behind the 8 ball, yeah, I'm full swing. But when we get to a place of favor where everybody's digging what we're doing, it's like, okay, well, what do we do next?
Like
So,
that's James Harden.
Brother
That's what you're
Gabe,
saying is that when the blights really get biggest and brightest,
yeah,
you're not going to show up for us. That's James Harden, is it not?
it is.
That's not top 10 or top 20 all-time player stuff, which James Harden is not.
He said this himself. Y'all can look it up. Brother Gabe with the super chat says, if she's 22, area codes literally came out the same year she was born. Even the streaming era, unless you got an OG, they won't know our classics. LP with the super chat says, if Luda sued her like Marvin does, he'd own 90%. I need to hear this song. Mad Max with the super chat says, Pop Smoke was from Panama. He knew 50 and other legends and showed them respect. Cut it out. And Mike, my parents are not American. I heard Biggie, Jay, Mary every day. But again, you're from New York. New York's a little different because everybody lives together in New York. In other cities where people are separated, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, all communities live together in New York. I'm just, putting some context out there. Mad Max also says, I had old heads press me at 6 for not knowing LL. Now I rep for LL like I grew up on them. Oh, and I heard Vet Day by Kane. He is top 10 ever. Sorry. Oh, yeah, Veterans Day by Kane. Yeah, Kane killed that shit. But New York does a great job of upholding their legends. Everywhere does. Like you said, Houston, LA, the Bay. We still hear about Mac Dre. You know what I'm saying? Jay Short with the super chat says, I lightweight disagree. Let Bono not rep Ireland or Atlanta or Aretha not have a rep Detroit. But in rap, we give passes like they can't do two things at once. Michael Williams with the super chat says, if Jay ever drops another album, what do you think it sounds like content-wise? Conceptual? What direction would you like to see him go? That's been a great mystery in this show. I say Kanye West. That's the easy answer. But, I think going from an artsy level, he's done that, though. I don't know. Maybe American Gangster Part 2 type of direction, possibly. I don't know. All right, before we get out of here, because I know we kind of been going on, and let's talk about this. Since we're talking about people who work whenever they want to, Billboard has a top 50 best rap groups ever countdown going on now. After they've done the best 50 best rappers, best rap groups or duos. Excuse me. And people are out of whack in the fact that Black Star is ranked number 49, and the City Girls got ranked a spot above Mos Def and Talib Kweli. So they got Black Star 49, City Girls at 48. The underground hip hop heads, the heads are exploding from the hip hop heads.
This is what happens when you take 24 years off, Mike. So do I necessarily...
time out. And you put that other album on an exclusive platform. That has something to do with this, too.
I was going to get to the lack of access, too, Mike. But really, the first thing that this is... Mike, people... this goes back to the sensitivity of it and people calling me a hater again, okay? Remember when I was talking shit last year and I'm like, how is this group all-time great when they released one album? It was 24 years ago. It wasn't even album of the year contender the year that it came out.
Yeah.
It's been 24 years. You come back around and you put it out, and it's not even available for everybody to digest so people can get reacquainted with you. This is how City Girls ends up ahead of you. So this is what I like to call a self-inflicted wound. Is Black Star deserve to be behind City Girls in a vacuum? Well, hell to the no. But the reality of the matter is, Mike, if you actually want to look at cultural significance, viability, marketability, accessibility, notoriety, like literally everything that comes with the music business now as it exists today, it says put somebody like City Girls over Black Star. Because, Mike, Black Star didn't do their goddamn job. Why do we keep on? And it's crazy to me, Mike, how we deify a Mos and an Andre to the level in a Nas and a Jay as if the work is even comparable.
We're basing it on talent and what we want it to be.
Fuck all that talent
other than
shit,
the reality. Mike. Yeah, no, you're right.
Bean's better than both of them talent-wise. Damn all that.
I'll say
we
this.
We gotta stop doing that. That's why I'm saying it's not Coop hating. We gotta stop doing this. That's not fair to Ice Cube's run. You understand that?
It's not.
That's not fair to Jay run. That's not fair to the fact that Scarface has never made a bad album in his life.
It ain't easy going out there and going to work and putting in work. You know what I'm saying?
So this isn't about hating on Yasin or Talib.
I love both of them.
Or Kendrick. No. Or Kendrick or 3 Stacks. It's like, no, do you understand what other people have done? And that maybe because of what they done is why I'm saying we don't need to be talking about you that way, because you haven't done that. What's wrong with saying that? In any other, Mike, everywhere else we can say that. It's like this. Mike, tennis again. French Open's going on right now. My guy Nadal is out. Djokovic and Nadal have 22 Grand Slam singles titles. Now, my favorite player growing up is Andre Agassi. Andre Agassi won 8 majors, Mike. How the fuck I look trying to convince people that my favorite player growing up is better than Nadal or Djokovic when these guys literally got 14 more majors than him?
Right.
How? How am I going to win that argument? And so this Kendrick talk that we're having, this Andre talk, the Yasin and the Talib talk, it doesn't come from a place of not liking them. It's like, how you going to have a motherfucker with 5 or 6 majors on the same level as somebody with 20? It never works like that in any sport. Mike, when we talk about Michael Jordan, we just had a Bill Russell conversation. We just had a conversation about why they say defense wins championships. That's because Bill Russell won 11 and Wilt won 2.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the evidence.
There's evidence. So when has it ever been okay, except in this rap shit, to not have ample evidence and still be deified like this? You understand Kendrick doesn't have what Nas and Jay have, right? You understand Andre doesn't have that. You understand Talib and Yasin don't have that, right? That's not Coop hating. Y'all need to start treating this shit fairly and on a proper scale, because what you're really doing is disrespecting the legends who have put in the work when you deify the people who have it. You're not hurting Coop. Coop's sleeping fine. I'm going to be knocked stone cold out tonight.
I think it's interesting, and you're right. I agree with you on everything you said for the most part. I think that, first of all, let me say this. If the Black Star album that dropped last year, which I thought was an incredible piece of work, if that would have actually been on streaming platforms available everywhere, I don't think they would be at number 49. You know what I mean? I'm going to say that, first things first. And number 2, though, people not having access to that. Most people didn't hear it. Most people didn't get an opportunity to actually listen to it in different spaces because, you know, the app that it's on, again, it's a podcast app. So most people, you know, you're not going to hear it out. You're not going to hear it anywhere outside of the comfort of your own space. That's what they wanted to do. That's their prerogative. Fine. So we can honestly say this list was put together basically with that album kind of not existing, right? Because you can't really gauge it. But
the Luminary album?
The Luminary
album on Luminary?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, Mike. Did they put themselves in position for it to exist, to be appreciated by a larger audience that's beyond their core base?
No.
City Girls, then. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, no, if you want to make your own rules, make your own list, too.
This is what Billboard said. They said the critically adored set was crystal clear. Let's see how. All right. They said a follow-up album finally arrived in 2022. But even if their output was limited to just the first singular document, Black Star deserves its place in the Pantheon. And it sounds like they're kind of being nice because let's be perfectly honest here. I don't know who they're going to leave out of this list, but they could have left Black Star off of the list and people wouldn't have tripped because we know what Talib and Most are as individuals. But as a duo, they were really being nice by even putting them on the list.
How? I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's like, no, we all know that Black Star is a better group than City Girls. What I'm saying is that Black Star didn't put themselves in a position to even make this a non-conversation. And that's on them. And I'm not the guy that's about to pull up and take up for you. Like, not me, because you know how I feel about going to work every day. And both of them, they don't be going to work every day. And when it comes to their group work, it's even more lackadaisical. And so, do they deserve to be head of City Girls in a Vacuum? Well, of course, but they haven't done the things that they're supposed to do, Mike.
No.
For their talent level. Let's translate it back to the NBA again, Mike. Put Talib and Mos on a basketball court and tell me, especially with Yasin, that they've had the careers that they're supposed to have.
You know what? They're
underachievers, Mike. Yeah. Call it. They're underachievers.
They remind you of a basketball duo. Like, you know what? This looks like
Tatum and Brown, Mike.
I was gonna say they're Melo and AI. It's like
they're not that good.
No, I'm just saying when they played together, it's like when you see that on paper, you're like, oh shit, they about to take over everything.
Oh, right.
But it didn't.
When you see it on paper,
yeah.
Right. When you see it on paper,
when you see it on paper, they're like, yo, they're gonna beat everybody. But in reality, you're out in the second round.
Second round.
Yeah. This is what the top 50. They got 50 through 41 so far. So they got MOP at 50, Black Star at 49. City Girls at 48, Ray Sherman at 47, Yin Yang Twins at 46, Pete Rock and CL Smooth at 45, Criss Cross at 44, Kid and Play at 43, Heavy D and the Boys at 42, and Lil Brother at 41. Now,
none of those groups are technically better than Black Star. You feel me? Technically. But that's the only place that they're winning is technically that we know Yasin and Talib are better than those guys. But we don't have what?
Yeah, the evidence. And the fact that Lil Brother is at 41 lets you know that if these guys had another album that was actually out there, or maybe another album, they would be in the top 30 on this list. So,
I mean, think about this. And this is what I mean about even them as a group. Mike, the 24 years in between the group albums, how many songs did they do together?
Exactly.
Think about it, Mike. I mean,
but see, in hip hop, we like to reward non-working, and I don't know. Maybe that makes it a rarity for people or something. But
that's okay. So this is what I mean. So it's like, no, this is why I be holding Ray and Ghost so high. It's like they be working on each other's projects.
Yeah.
You always hear them together. I don't think I'm ever going to hear a Raekwon or a Ghostface album without Ray or Ghost on it, giving us a Ray and Ghost type of song.
And
they're just not going to do that. Mike, they value their fans more than that. You can tell that their catalog, the way that they've made music shows you how much they value us. That's why I value them so much and speak about them this way.
And even Jada and Styles, man. Like, even though Jada might not have that classic album, that quintessential classic album people say he should have, Jada and Styles work, man. They don't stop. And they sound great. And the same thing with Chic Luch, man. Like the Lox as a collective, that's why they were so sharp on the versus stage, because they work.
Oh, but think about this. Method Man and Redman, unofficial duo, more records than Black Star.
Insane.
Styles and Jadakiss, more records. Nas and AZ have more records, Mike. They only did 10 or 11 records together. I
don't think they got more records than Black Star. They could, though.
No, I'm talking about in that gap between, Mike, listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The gap between.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Nas and AZ did more work together in that 24-year gap.
Charles with the Super Chat says, congratulations to Pac on the Star. Fun fact, Pac's song Ballad of a Dead Soldier concept was adapted from a Shakespearean play, Macbeth. You know what? I guess we'll say that before we get out of here.
People keep hearing what they want to hear. I'm asking y'all, I know they've rapped on each other's albums. How many times in 24 years, though?
Not a lot, guys.
It's a handful of times, Mike. They maybe have 5 records together in the last 24 years. It's not on a Black Star project.
And this is coming from a guy who used to search for their collaborations. Yeah. They got that one song, Bright as a Star, that shines. It starts off with the, who is that speaking at the beginning? But where he's like...
Gil Scott?
No. He's saying that Mos Def is the color of Marcus Garvey.
Right.
And Talib is the color of Malcolm X. Yeah. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, Better debut and more impact. Arrested Development, a Black Star. At least Arrested Development kept going. Hip hop changed on them.
I mean, Arrested
Arrested
Development was at
Development's
all the
first
award
album.
shows and radio and
Y'all
way
are gonna
bigger than
kill
Black
me for
Star.
saying this, but Arrested Development's first album is better than Black Star's first album. Yes,
It is, Mike. It's got
and
Tennessee on
Tennessee
it.
is better than every song on there, including Respiration.
Thank you. Tennessee, Mike.
It is.
Tennessee. Yeah.
So, yeah, that album also had Mr. Window on there. Also had Everyday People on there.
Everyday People,
Yeah.
Mike? Yeah, stop playing.
Yeah, my parents had that album.
Everybody parents had that album, Mike.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, though, congratulations to Tupac for getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I thought he been had it, honestly, man. I didn't know why it took so. When I got that news, I was like, I thought he had that already, man. You know what?
A little late.
You know, I kind of started looking at the Hollywood Walk of Fame a little different, and I say this respectfully. When Pitbull got one, I was like, whoa, that was quick. Because, I guess when you go out there and you see those stars, you're thinking like iconic people who've been around for 25, 30 years. And I think Pitbull got his, he had been around maybe like 5 or 6. I was like, oh shit, it's different. But yeah, congratulations to that. Pac should have everything. You know what I'm saying? Like we talked about Pac's legacy in length over this past week. And I'm gonna finish that Dear Mama series too, I promise. I love it, what I'm seeing so far. Pac was a rider, Pac was a real one. And if we want to talk about people who need to be the blueprint for that next generation and being balanced, he is the guy.
All right, so Mike, what list are we working on next? And we got to put some MCs in the ringer. We didn't put any MCs in the ringer this week, but we still got a couple people we need to get up in here, like Doom and Tretch and MJG, CeeLo. We still got some people to run through.
Man, we're 3.5 hours in. I know we got.
No, I ain't saying we got to do it now. I'm saying like on Monday.
Okay,
though.
I got you. Okay, Monday, I think we need to totally dedicate it to that, if we can.
We need to get started on our next list. Are we doing our beats list next, or are we going?
Let's do the beats list next. I know I've been kind of slow on the beats list because I'm just looking for qualifiers, man, and not trying
Taking
to
you
be.
2 weeks, you're overthinking it, Mike. That's what I'm saying, Mike. Like for me, it's like I don't like making lists the way that you make lists because it takes the feeling out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, nigga, I remember where I was when Dipset Anthem dropped. It's like, give me that beat.
That beat was crazy.
No, I remember where I was. No. When the bridge is over, come on, I'll still be like, oh, no. That's fire. That's 87. They made a beat in it. It's like, yeah, Marley Marl, man. Yeah. That's how I did it. I didn't do it off of no, like, oh, it had to be from this year, that year. Like, man, how that shit sound?
Okay. Well, I'll take my year bracket out of it. I'm just going to go with the best beats that I've heard.
Yeah, Mike. Like, it's like, I was just like, no. What's the best beats at? Like, where's shadowboxing at? Fuck all that other shit. Shadowboxing.
Hey, when I heard Stargazing, man, for the first time, shit changed things.
Played Stargazing on my station head the other day. People want to know when we're doing the Wu Death Row station head and this Drake Future station head.
I know Ron's trying to do this Drake Future station head like Sunday before the game or something.
Okay.
When you want to do this Death Row and
I want to say I hope both of you toxic niggas with your toxic choices lose. I hope you both lose. I hope it's 9-9 and a tie. 9-9, 2 ties. That's what Coop votes for. It's gonna be the toxic player haters ball.
When do you want to do this Death Row thing? This Death Row Wu thing?
I mean, whenever you want to take this L, Mike. Whenever you want to take this.
You want to do it next Friday?
I'm cool with it. I think it looks like we're probably gonna start getting music. If you're cool with kind of like splitting up the show and then heading into the station head.
Okay, let's do it next Friday.
Because I have a feeling we're gonna start actually getting album releases since the summer's here.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we need to go ahead and just do it. You know what I'm saying? Because
I mean, I'm also, Mike, I'm down for like a Thursday night station head.
I'll see if I can do Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm down for the Thursday night. You know what I'm saying? So we can still do our full show on Friday because I feel like music's coming.
Right. Okay. Brother Gabe with the super chat says, what group needs to be top 10? I say in order. Wu, Cass, De La, Tribe, NWA, EPMD, Run DMC, Mobb Deep, Goody Mob, Public Enemy. I love Goody Mob, but I don't think they're gonna make.
Goody's not gonna make the top 10. Love Goody. Said most of mine. I mean, easy choices are Public Enemy, NWA, Outkast, Wu Tang, De La Tribe. That's 6.
I hope De La makes the 10. I know
No, De La's
sometimes
top 10,
I
Mike.
know so.
Catalog's
I know it, but I'm just saying. I know a lot of times they get overlooked.
Mobb Deep, 7.
I think 8 Ball and MJG, man.
I was thinking UGK.
I love UGK. I think UGK's impact
Can we just meet
overall.
in the middle at 3-6?
Yeah, I think
Maybe
UGK's impact overall has has
8 Ball and
trumped.
8 Ball and MJG make better music, but UJK's impact is bigger. But
And,
3-6 owns the style because everybody making beats like DJ Paul, including Metro.
exactly. What I was gonna say though, I think that UGK's legacy is what it is because of Pimp C, even though there is some balance in that group. But I think Pimp C's tone and his influence you could hear in generations after it. Look at ASAP Mob, all of that. But yeah, I think if we go catalog for catalog, 8 Ball and MJG have the better catalog of music. I just think that their star power is in 8 Ball, which isn't as big of star power as Pimp C.
No, the star power is big, not as transcendent. In DJ Paul and in Pimp C, you have the two trendsetters stylistically for their era.
And it's crazy because people wouldn't even realize it. They weren't trendsetters when it was happening. It happened generations after them. Because me and my guy Melvin were the only ones listening to 3-6 down here.
So that's what dwarfs 8 Ball and MJG now when you look at it is that, well, shit, everybody sound like Paul and Pimp.
Because at the time, it would have been an easy one to say. Back then, it was easy 8 Ball and MJG over them. But as time has gone on,
to say that.
Yeah. But as time has gone on, the impact, it's funny, man. Sometimes you just got to wait and see. Charles with the super chat says, also I love Ice Cube, but lyrically he's not touching Pac, for real, for real. And you gave him that over Pac.
You want to know what? Do we need to put Tupac back through here again? Just because, good Lord. Because, I mean, where is he? Where's he at?
Let's put that in there. I mean, he's like top 5 still, I think.
He's at 4, Mike. So apparently, I mean, you want to put him back through again? He's at 4. It's Nas, Jay-Z, Ice Cube. He's ahead of Rakim and Biggie. Like, I don't know.
People think that he should be ahead of Ice Cube.
I'm with that. I listen to Pac more than I listen to Ice Cube. I'm just being objective about the rubric. If it's my personal list, Mike, I'm going like, Nas, Pac, Rakim probably on my list.
Basically, on the rubric, from what I remember, Ice Cube beat him in longevity categories.
He did, Mike.
And that's what it is.
Hold on. I mean, you want to do it right quick, just right quick before we go?
Okay, we'll do it and get up out of here.
Yeah, let's go out on this. Impact, that's Tupac. Right?
Yeah.
Live performance, that's Tupac.
Yeah.
Lyrics, we gave that to Ice Cube. Are we wrong for that?
I don't know, man. Let's just say that's a draw. Or you know what? Let's put that in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Who's?
Storytelling, Mike. Ooh.
That's cute. And not by a lot, but that's cute.
Okay. Classic albums, that's Cube.
Yeah.
Classic songs, that's Pop.
Yep.
Longevity of albums, that's Cube.
Yeah.
Longevity of songs, that might be Pop.
Yeah.
Classic collaborations, that's Cube.
Yeah.
Career longevity quality is Ice Cube. Voices Tupac. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it was the lyrics, Mike. So lyrics is the tiebreaker.
All right. Well, right now it's 50-50 with 22 votes. We'll let it get up to 50 votes, and we're going to go from there. Vote in the chat. It's right there. Okay.
So there y'all go. Pac might move back up again.
All right. It all comes down to what y'all say. Right here. And then we're going to get up out of here.
Up there we go.
You see it? 29 votes. Pac's up 55%, 45%. 32 votes. Pac is still ahead. 34 votes. Now, Pac ain't got the albums, y'all. I see y'all saying that in there. Nah, man. Kill at Will, Death Certificate, America's Most, Straight Outta Compton, no.
Easy Does It, West Side Connection, no.
West Side, yeah, Bow Down.
Yeah, West Side Connections album, Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
41
That's
votes.
the
It looks
Mike, and
like
you didn't
Pac's
even
gonna
bring up
get this.
you didn't bring up the Predator either, or
I
Lethal
didn't.
Injection,
I didn't.
because you didn't have to.
Nope.
Right. What the people say, Mike?
Looks like Pac's winning the better lyricist.
Okay, that's where Ice Cube beat him, in our opinion. So.
Yeah. So 41, 45 votes. I mean, it's not completely done, but Pac's winning 61% to 39%.
Flip flop, 3 and 4. There you go. All right. Hope you're happy.
I'm sure they are.
It's not like it wasn't close. It's not like we were saying, man, Ice Cube, man, you really walked the dog on Tupac.
Yeah, it just came down to who you think's
Down
lyrically
on the category.
better. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get up out of here, man. Everybody have a great weekend. This was a fun show. There's still some things we didn't get to.
Look, Mike, if I offended any Atlanta rappers from today's era, I don't give a shit. Have a good night.
They said who won The Voice, Pac or Q? Yeah, Pac won that.
Pac won in The Voice. I meant that too. I don't give a shit.
And you know what? And that, to me, that's not by a lot.
Like, no, I mean, think about it, Mike. Future's diverse because he came from Dungeon family. Like, what Future does is diverse. I've always given him that.
Oh yeah.
Because he's not the guy that made Karate Chop and Tony Montana. He ain't been that guy in forever, Mike.
Well, can't wait to get my Future playlist together. All right, y'all have a great weekend. I'm gonna go find something neat. Yep.